Good morning, and that means the weekend is just around the corner. A good morning to you all. You are welcome to the Koko Digest Morning Show. I am your host, Yaira Awuno, and we're coming to you live from the studios of Clock TV. And you can also catch us on GoTV channel 184. And if you're not in the comfort of your home, you can join us via social media, especially on Facebook and on YouTube. The live stream will be there, so you can join in the conversation, send your comments and, your suggestions, your shout-outs, and even your birthday wishes to our live stream or to our WhatsApp number that will be displayed subsequently onto your screens, and then we will read them here. Now, the conversations for today, as always, are going to be interesting, as on the lifestyle segment, this week has been about practical skills, picking up practical skills training. And so we're going to be talking to a fashion designer and learning more about that area of the TVET, the technical and vocational training skills, and, how to get into it and what it's all about. Sports, business, and the main segment will also be bringing us the conversations that are very enriching and enlightening as always. Now, let's go into the weather forecast for today. Then we go get our motivational quote for the weekend coming. Now, so it says here, now, if we can get the display so our viewers can see what's happening for today, the 16th of October. It says, the rainstorm mentioned in the weather warning issued earlier is currently producing thunderstorms with heavy rain over Wenchi, Sunyane, Inswatre, Kumeu, Dadieso, and their environs, and it is expected that the storm will expand further while propagating westward to affect more areas within the Bono East and Ahafo and Ashanti region, as well as the eastern regions. Some places within the western, north, and central, as well as the western regions, are likely to be affected later this morning. However, the coastline and northern sectors are forecasted to experience isolated thunderstorms or rain amidst sunny intervals. So this is the weather forecast for today. So as we have seen, it seems that the rains are not going anywhere. They're here to stay. So let's strap up with an umbrella, raincoat, and do well to also offer a lift here and there whenever we are on our way home or wherever we are going. Let's show some kindness because the rains can be very unforgiving. Now, let's prepare for the motivational quote for today. As the weekend approaches, it's always our duty here on the Koko Digest Morning Show to motivate our viewers and ourselves. And today's quote is by Peter Cosmic. And he says, let's get the display quickly so that we can have it. So he says, hope is the ability to hear the music of the future, and faith is the courage to dance to it today. Hope is the ability to hear the music of the future, and faith is the courage to dance to it. And this is by Peter Cosmic. Now, this quote by Peter Cosmic beautifully illustrates the relationship between hope and faith using the metaphor of music and dance. To hear the music of the future means to sense or envision something better ahead, even when it is not yet visible or certain. Now, that's hope, the quiet belief that brighter days are ahead, possible, the change can come, and life holds more than what we see now. Hope gives us reason to keep dreaming and looking forward. But faith goes a step further. It's not just listening to the distant melody, but dancing to it today. And faith also means acting on what you believe, even before there is proof that the music will play out the way you imagine. Now, it's courage in motion, making choices, taking risks, and living as if your vision of the future is already unfolding. Now, together, the quote reminds us that hope and faith are partners, quite like music and dance. One cannot go without the other. Hope also paints the picture of what's possible, and faith brings that picture to life through our actions. As the Bible says, faith without works, Without hope, we cannot see what's ahead. Without faith, we can never move toward it. And I hope that this quote has motivated us. Let's keep the hope up. Let's keep the faith up as always. And up next is the online and print review with my co-host here with me, and we will be right back. You're welcome back to the Koko Digest Morning Show, and if you're just tuning in, it's time for our online and print review. And I have my co-hosts here with me in the persons of Peter Nsia and Nanayao Asare. And today's online and print review is also extended, so we're going to be having lengthier conversations about the current affairs. And also our phone lines will be opened as time goes on, so I will do well to alert you on that so you can share your thoughts. And as always, I always say here that we should keep our thoughts decorous and tactful. Let's respect ourselves and the institution of Clock TV as well. That being said, our WhatsApp number will also be displayed onto your screen subsequently, and then the YouTube and Facebook live stream is also on, so you can share your comments, your thoughts there as well. So there's a variety of ways to express yourself. Just make sure you're respectful. Now let's get into it. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Yara.
How are we doing? The weekend approacheth. Divine selection. And grateful, right. Pardon? Oh, okay.
Yes, as you usually say.
Exactly. Amen. Right, so let's get into what's happening, what's going on. What news have you gathered so far?
I'll let Peter start. Right. Keep the ball rolling. Let's go.
So today I want to start on a sad note. It's not just to remind families, not to remind Ghanaians of what transpired over a month ago about the Z9 military helicopter crash. And I mean, when the incident happened, Ghanaians and the Ministry of Defense promised us that it is going to be transparent, whatever transpired. they are going to let Ghanaians know about it so that we can actually learn from it. And so we're given 30 days. We are told that a committee has been set up and they were given 30 days to bring out their findings of what transpired so that we can actually, as Ghanaians, also learn from it. And so there was a press release, I don't know if it is ready, if you can project it, by the Ministry of Defense, which says that Z9 Helicopter Crash Investigation Board commences work. Accra, August 25, 2025. The Ministry of Defense hereby informs the public that the investigation board established to inquire into the recent Z9 helicopter crash has formally commenced its work. The board is chaired by the National Security Coordinator, with membership drawn from the Ghana Air Force and the Aircraft Accident and Incident Investigation and Prevention Bureau of the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority. The United States of America is providing advice and assistance to the board through visiting investigators from the U.S. Air Force. The board may also invite other relevant experts and institutions, both local and international, to assist with the investigation. It will be recalled that on the day of the incident, 6 August 2025, a preliminary investigation team was constituted to gather all available evidence relating to the crash in support of the board's work. The preliminary investigation team is scheduled to submit its report to the board today. The investigation board has been mandated to complete its work within 30 days, beginning August 25. And so the 30 days has elapsed, and still we haven't heard anything from the Ministry of Finance, from the committee, and whatsoever it is. And so I think it will be very prudent, or it will be very advisable if they brief us on what is actually transpiring, what has gone on, what has there been any findings, what is exactly going on, so that we can also learn from incidents like this. Mind you, these findings, when it comes out, we are going to learn from it as Ghanaians, and also the whole institution, the aviation, the integrity of the aviation is also at stake. So when we get to find out what exactly transpired, we are going to learn from it as Ghanaians. You understand? So many are some of the tragedies that happens in Ghana. A committee is set up to do investigations and bring out findings, but we don't get to hear anything. And some of these findings, like I'm saying, will help us to know the way forward. Many a times, like let's take a fire service for instance. Many a times when we hear incidents, this and this has happened, the fire service, a committee is set up and they bring out the findings. That is where we get to learn some of these things. And mind you, so now Ghanaians are learning. So if you are to rent, if you are looking for a place to rent, when you go, there are certain questions you ask relating to fire safety. When you go into a building, the first thing you look at are for fire extinguishers and all that. These are educations, things that we are learning from the incidents that happen. So I'm calling on the Ministry of Defense and the bodies who are responsible to come out with a report. They should let us know if the report is not ready, the finding. They should let us know. They should keep us updated so that such an incident wouldn't happen again. Because prior to this issue, journalists and other people were warned of, bringing up false information about the whole issue. We heard about the black box issue. A whole lot of people were explaining it and all that. So they assured us to just keep calm and that investigation is ongoing. The 30-day has elapsed and we've not heard anything.
That's true. And speaking of the black box even, I remember the conversations we had here. We spoke with Commander Sobojo, if I'm getting the name right, and he mentioned that the findings from the black box would usually depend on the original place where the helicopter, was
crash
purchased.
site.
No, not even the crash site, but where it was manufactured. So if it's from China, we would need the black box would need to be sent there for them to be able to do everything. And we were all confused about that, but it seems that is the normal way the things go. And from the press release, I'm hearing something about the U.S. giving some advice and also, providing whatever help they can. But what about the place of origin of the helicopter? What's happening with the black box? Because if it's not the U.S. that manufactured it or assembled it and whatnot, they may not be able to give us what the records that we can find from the black box. And we're not hearing anything about the black box too, because from the conversations in that time, in that time period, we came to find out that the black box would give us everything we need to know about the crash. And yet, as you said, that's 30 days has elapsed and we're not hearing anything.
So what I would have actually expected them to do is, naturally, we know that these investigations take a lot of time. There are crash investigations that take more than a year or two. Some of these Boeing aircrafts that get crashed. Now, so if you've given 30 days, you just tell them on August 25th, you came out to inform us that you are forming or setting up a committee to actually go into the investigations of this particular aircraft. Now, these committees are also on allowances, and every time they sit and all that, they are going to be paid taxpayers' money. That aside, that is not saying that they are not working. But when it gets to a time that you realize that you need time, and clearly that is the case, because crash investigations, usually you don't put an ultimatum of, let's say, 30 days on them, because you do not know the nature and then the as you said, how the black box is going to be deconfigured or to be brought to your understanding. You know, some of these things you just need to understand that, you know what, we'll commence investigations on August 25th. The committee has been set up. Within 30 days, we'll update you on the process so far. But then you don't come and tell us that you conclude your findings within the 30 days, because you are not the manufacturer of the aircraft. You are not, although you have technical personnel on there, their expertise is limited, because this is a crash that happened and we need a lot of information on what's actually going on in there. Either they knew that or maybe either they have come out with the findings and they know that bringing or publishing those findings will cause public despair. That's probably the aircrafts were not serviced regularly, or the aircrafts were not.
So I think for that you need to clarify. You know, say maybe in speculation, so that it doesn't sound like you're.
All I'm saying is because they are not communicating to us, and a lack of communication breeds a lot of assumptions. So what I'm saying is, if the findings have been found, you give us 30 days. That means maybe it's within your technical ability to bring us the findings within those 30 days. So if the 30 days have elapsed, you've not communicated to us as to how far the committee has performed. You've not done. You've not asked for an extended period of time. Then it means that you may have concluded your findings and you are keeping it within yourself. That's the only way we can assume, because you are not asking for extra time. You are not asking for any additional expertise. You are not giving any media engagement and all that. Either you are taking us for granted, or you have the findings and you know that when you publish it, it will cause public despair. These are some of the reasons. So please, and please again, you've given us a timeline. Respect Ghanaians. Come out and tell us that you need extra time to actually go on in this particular investigations. And don't take us for granted. You told us something and then you're doing something else.
Right.
Meanwhile, it's taxpayers' money that you are being used to pay certain allowances for all of them whenever they sit.
Please, let's calm down. Let's be calming.
Oh, it's not calming down matter.
We understand.
It is a matter on the ground.
Okay,
it has been happening over the years. And so even putting the Z9 helicopter aside, there has been issues like the Apiace explosion and all that. A committee will be set up to do the investigation and bring out the findings so that we as Ghanaians can learn from it, so that we don't repeat or we don't see such incidents happening. We don't get to hear anything. They tell us, oh, we are doing this, we are setting up a committee, and this time we'll bring out the findings so we can all learn. It doesn't happen like that. Now, looking at last week, we heard the incident that happened on the Black Volta Lake. I mean, this has been happening. And once it happens, they'll come out. We've set up a committee, we are investigating, and they'll bring out the findings. These findings will help us not to repeat what transpired that led to the incident. And here lies the case, they keep us in the dark and we don't know.
Right.
You get it? When you keep on educating the people, you keep on, but then when they understand what actually goes into it. Now, when you want to travel using the boat or something, when you get there, you know you have to get a life jacket and all that. But then all that we know is when it happens, they will advise that you have to use life jacket, you have to get
relief items.
It doesn't augur well, it doesn't go well with us at all.
Right. Moving forward, I think also that these committees set up for these investigations over the years should also be brought into the government accountability series, or the press briefings that we are seeing nowadays, where every now and then some officials come in and address the public, tell us what's happening and all of that, because like you're saying, we're not hearing anything. What is the committee doing? Because we know that this black box issue has to go to the country of origin. And if it goes to the country of origin, we'll get some information. Are they delegating some of their members and some of the, what's the word I'm looking for? Some of the people that know the work, maybe the officials that are able to probably do the work, the technicians and the technocrats, yes, that's the word I'm looking for, who can do what is necessary. So working under this committee, some of these people will have to go to China or wherever the Z9 was manufactured or assembled, and then the others will go to the next place, maybe the crash site, or speak to maybe even the members of the aviation or the Air Force to get this information. Are they delegating the task? We need to find out what exactly those committees do when it comes to these investigations, that, okay, we don't just come and sit and maybe talk about the plans in theory, but this is what we actually do on ground. This is the work we go out to do, even though we have other tasks and whatnot, and we're trying to meet the deadlines. And this way, we won't also have all kinds of assumptions in mind that you're using taxpayers' money to just come and sit and you're getting your allowances and you're not doing much. So I think we should give the committees that have been set up for some of these investigations some sort of accountability series to come and also give us what they've done so far. And if they're not working well, if they're not working accurately, then there will be a need to change them. Or what do you think?
Yeah, that's very right. I mean, it looks as if, like Nana rightly said, they are taking us for granted. I mean, it shouldn't be the issue. It shouldn't be the issue, because this was a national concern. Every media house.
We lost actual VIP personalities and whatnot.
I mean, every media house was reporting. And it got to a point that they had to warn us of, a whole lot. Each and every one was just saying what he or she, knows about the issue. Yeah. And then this is the right time.
The thing, even an MP came to say that the plane did not crash. It was shot in the sky.
Gentlemen.
Some of these things.
It's true. So, and then now you have the privilege of finding a black box, setting a committee and paying them with taxpayers' money, promising us that within 30 days of that particular duration, you're going to bring us findings. Now, if you want or you needed an extended time, out of respect, Ghanaians would give you.
Yeah, I mean,
if you needed,
what else?
What can we do?
Yes.
But just for you not to say anything and not to communicate anything and just go on as though life is moving on and no one can ask you or hold you accountable. That's where we draw the line. Please, we beg you. You've promised us that you are going to give us information within 30 days. We shouldn't be begging you for information you have promised and we are paying you for.
And
so please.
It's even unfair to the families, because these people went on a national assignment and never came back home. The least we can do is give the families closure as to what exactly happened that cost them their lives. So that being said, let's the news go up to all those involved to whom it may concern. Please, we need some information on this. If there's more help needed, I mean, Ghanaians extend enough grace if we request for it. So, I mean, let's take advantage of that and, help the nation and especially the families of the deceased. Now, let's go to what else is happening now.
Yes, and then now there is an interesting news concerning. I'll take one from the health ministry at the moment. The Honorable Minister for Health, Kobna Mentaha Kando, has come out to say that by 2028, if measures are not put in place, over 180,000 people will be unemployed health workers. Now, that's what he's saying. He's saying that so far, the government is drawing up interventions to make sure that they are being included in the employment schemes. He said that with an interview on Channel 1 with Bernard Avle. And he came out and said that at the moment, the number of unemployed health workers stands at 74,000. And looking at our system, right, one of the means or ways that he said that the government is going to help curb that particular situation is by creating what they call a planned migration scheme, where countries would come and get our health personnel and then go and use in their countries so that they do not remain unemployed over here. However, the government are making interventions to make sure that they are employed, like the community health compounds and all that. This is okay, but looking at where our health infrastructure and our health, where we are health-wise as a country, do we have the luxury of exporting health personnel? Because when you look at the doctor-patient ratio in Ghana, when you look at the doctor-population ratio in Ghana, you look at other countries, the countries that are requesting to get additional health workers from us. Now, these people have a ratio of, let's say, one doctor is to 3 patients, 1 doctor is to 2 patients. But over here, you go to Kolebu, you look at the number of patients, you look at the number of health personnel at post, you realize that it's not like that. However, instead of focusing on getting infrastructural development, setting up more community chip compounds, putting up policies in place to make sure that once people get out from these health facilities, they go straight into a place of work, and not that when they finish their nursing training and all that, we are putting measures in place. He mentioned that they are talking to 6 particular countries, and then those countries are even requesting for specialists. That's why the number is up at the moment. I feel that it's a blow on the chin. We should instead of focusing as a means of, every country should pride its youth in focusing in the development of its country. If I go to nursing training, there is no motivation right now for someone sitting at home and saying that me person me nursing, and I said, because when you finish, you don't even know whether you get a job. And even if you get a job, you don't even know whether you'll be paid. He's actually brought out the fact that the government will need about 6 billion Ghana cedis a year to be able to fight this particular thing. This is not far-fetched. If we actually put our hands together, we'll be able to do this and combat these things. But once again, our health facilities are at stake. We're here. High-profile people, whenever they are ill and then they need help, leave the country. How about the normal person that can't afford that? So it's a very, very big menace that we have to fight. That notwithstanding, the health minister is doing a very good job trying to make sure that he recently received clearance for over 10 million or so to be able to use to clear out the allowances and the arrears that the health service workers
I think we should put these 2 stories together and discuss it right now. And you know what you're saying, it just brought to mind the saying, you cannot pour from an empty cup. We have places in this country where electricity is a myth. So what about even healthcare? There are some communities in the same country where mortality rates are so high because they don't even have somebody who has basic emergency, or what's the word I'm looking for? Yes, basic first aid knowledge. And yet we want to export people when there are places in this country who have never seen a doctor. They are still relying on the herbs and whatnot, and what is the rate or probability of even recovery or not getting a whole different issue or something even exacerbating the problem that you may have sent to this herbalist, because we don't even know how the dosages work. And these things, when it comes to the herbal medicine, what works for you may not work for me. And all of these things were probably part of some of the issues our ancestors had when it came to their mortality rates. And even as of now, even the CHIPS compound is not everywhere. Even though, yes, it has moved, it's a step in the right direction. Why don't we, as Anaya said, why don't we focus on getting healthcare to make it accessible to everybody, even if it's at the district level? We're not saying that build Kolebu or UGMC style hospitals everywhere, but expand the CHIPS compound, make it a little more well-rounded in a way that you can go and give birth, you can go and donate blood, the basic things that, you know, everyday people come for. You know, if there's an accident from the farm, you've been bitten by a snake. Now some of these people still believe in these myths and things when there could be a doctor or a nurse on standby who has access to some anti-venom and whatnot and how to extract these things. But we don't have that. And yet we want to send specialists out of the country when we ourselves are lacking these things. It's not fair to us. Then even speaking on the fact that clearance has been given for salaries to be paid, it is begging the question that as an institution, when you're employing people, do you not employ based on the coffers, what you have and what you know you can pay them? Because why should you employ people, keep them working for extended periods of time without any pay, and when they you know, riot or protest, it becomes an issue? Is that not, in a way, an infringement on human rights?
Exactly. So, I mean, like you both rightly said, it all boils down to infrastructure development. I mean, we've not gotten to the extent that we can export, you know, specialists. I mean, we need them. We need them in this country, like you said. But the issue is that when you go to these deprived communities, these villages, the kind of health, you know, care facility they have there is not so attractive. And so nobody would want to even be there. When you can even link it to this teachers posting thing. I mean, so
it's the same thing, actually.
So, I mean, it's just, they should just invest in, you know, building, like you rightly said, not a modernized one, but something, you know, that you can, I mean, they should just invest in infrastructure development, and then they should build more cheap compounds and all that. A whole lot of people need healthcare, they need doctors, they need nurses. But the fact is that I don't know, I don't want to say as a country, we are not looking at that direction. Look as if our focus is always on elections, politics, and then
but there are bigger matters at hand.
I mean, the welfare of the populace is not taken into consideration. So, like Nana rightly said, if you are a nursing student right now, there's no hope for you. But then you should be proud that this is what I want to do. And then at the end of the day, I'm coming out to help my community, help my country. But then the infrastructure, what one needs to be able to help the community is not, it is not there. So, I mean, going forward, we should prioritize, you know, healthcare. Healthcare is very imperative. Like you said, when you go to most of the villages, it is very sad that they don't even have one healthcare practitioner to even take care. People are just dwelling on this traditional medicine, and it also has side effects and all that. So, I mean, it's high time we consider some of these things. Even talking about those, I mean, we should go back to the roots, the kind of sensitization, the kind of things. I mean, yesterday I was watching Policy Pulse. They were talking about this category A, B schools and the issue that came up as a result. People are saying, I chose this, I don't like this, I like category A, B schools. It all boils down to the kind of, you know, information we feed the people with. So we take, for instance, for a student, one who is in JHS, what do the teachers tell them? What do parents tell them? If you don't learn, you end up in a school, they will mention a school. If you learn, you end up getting a school here. And so when it comes to like the healthcare facilities and all that, if a new personnel is being deployed, sometimes when they take them to the villages, they don't want to go. They all want to be at the Kolebu, UGMC and all that because of the facilities and what they enjoy. But then if our focus is turned to these villages, the deprived areas, I mean, building 1 or 2 hospitals or cheap compounds for them, making sure that the health practitioners that goes there are free, they get access to some basic amenities. I mean, they are willing, why not? It's better. I mean, healthcare itself, you have to get some kind of, how should I even put it? You should love the work before you go into it. It is not something that you say, oh, I just want to choose, because it is something that you have to do with all your heart and all that. So I think if they put the right measures in place, build comfortable, you know, cheap compounds and all that, we have what it takes to accommodate, how do you even put it, to absorb all these nurses. We need them.
Right.
We need them.
And, you know, it's even bringing my mind back to the One District, One Factory initiative. It's it has its, it has both pros and cons, right? But then considering everything going on in the nation, maybe putting up these things at the district level may not be feasible, but at the constituency level, it may work. Because now we have 275, no? Yes. Now, if we have even so much as clinics in each constituency for the meantime, where these clinics also have some sort of housing attached to it, where if you've been posted from Accra to some remote village in a constituency somewhere that has the bungalows and whatnot, or the flats for the personnel, this could actually encourage the people. And instead of investing all that money into sending these specialists out into countries that probably even have better trained doctors and nurses or personnel than we have, why not, invest in this, as you're saying, invest in the infrastructure, put these things up and make it attractive? Because leaving home to a place where you have, nobody because of work, yes, it is service to the nation. It's all part of building your career and even a lot of things about yourself and for your job too. But what else is the government also doing to cushion these things? Because right now, if Clock TV sends you to maybe a branch of Clock TV in the northern region and just leaves you to fend for yourself there, you may not be as happy about it as, okay, we have bought maybe a land here, we are putting up a structure, so within a few months you'll be able to move into it. So when it's ready, you can also do that and probably pay Clock TV some rent or something. That would actually make you more comfortable knowing that you are secure in your job and even a place to fend for yourself and live. Isn't that right?
Yes. But then the issue, the saga, the rage issue that came out, findings, per findings, we get to find out that they lack personnel. So we realized that one doctor on the shift and two. So when you put that one into consideration with what the health minister is saying, you see that it doesn't balance. We actually need the people. But I think the issue is about the payment.
Yeah.
The issue is about the payment. So last Tuesday, I was saying that there's no coordination between these ministries and all that, like you even rightly said in your submission. Because these ministries should know that this year, these are the number of health workers we need. And then once they're able to tell the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Finance, and the Controller Accountant General, they should work together. Yeah. You understand? So once there's an update, it should reflect. It should be a live system. It shouldn't be that the health ministry has recruited this amount of people. They have to do the paperwork, then send it to the Ministry of Health before it gets to the Controller Accountant General. No. It's high time we make good use of technology. We sit down, we plan properly. These are the number of health workers we have in this country. Which, regions or which regions, which districts are lacking, health workers and all that. What can we do to provide these health workers? There should be planning. And things will just move on.
And, as a whole government, and you are employing people and you're making them go without salaries for extended periods, it doesn't bode well. It doesn't even speak well of you or right of you, because those things usually happen in those one-man companies where you've employed people and somehow maybe the business is not running smoothly or you've incurred some losses, and then that's when you may not be able to pay your workers. But this is a whole government. This is a country, right? And you have all kinds of streams of income coming in. You're generating revenue one way or another, and you're employing, the number of students that graduate every year. At least as a ministry, that, okay, when it comes to the nurses and doctors and whatnot, these are the number of people, these are the number of specialists, and I'm sure they have all of that data. So if you're supposed to employ maybe even half, that, okay, by the time maybe 2025 ends, this is the number of doctors and nurses that's going to come out, and these people, we're going to employ maybe half of them. How much do we have in our coffers? Can we employ half of them? If, let's say, as a country, considering the fact that this new government inherited some issues from the previous government, so maybe the coffers are a little low, we know that, okay, the usual half is not feasible, maybe a quarter, 1/5, 1/8 or something, and then pay them. As you said, it's a passion job, but at some point, passion cannot drive you if you are hungry, Passion cannot drive you. Even for us here, we come and sit here we talk on set and whatnot. After that, we get some food to eat, you know? If we weren't getting food, do you think we would have the strength or even the desire or zeal to come and sit here every time to speak? No. Because you say, you know, so all these things should come into mind. If a whole government is doing this, then the one-man business would also feel justified, especially when they want to cheat people. And that does not speak well, because these are our leaders who we are looking at and emulating in one way or another. And this one day I'm silent. I know you're dropping bombs soon.
No, the whole thing is it's lack of adequate planning and disregard for Ghanaians. I mean, it's just that the few who can afford quality healthcare are the few who are making decisions for the masses. That's all. If we had a little bit of a mix in it in such a way that those who can't or who don't have their voices to be heard in that particular regard are the ones, or those who can afford the kind of healthcare that is needed in the rural areas, where part of the people making the decisions, then we would realize that all of these things will be kept. But then again, they are the ones being represented. They are the ones who go to exercise their franchise to choose the people to represent them in Parliament. These people, time and time again, are failing us. And when you look at the fact that it's estimated that 180,000 Ghanaian youth who would go to university 4 years, 5 years, nursing training schools, so that they can actually come and help us. They will finish and then they don't have jobs to do, and there's nothing, there's no plan that goes to say that we are reducing this. We have made allocations for that, and we know the amounts that would be able to curb that. Time and time again, this thing is said. Over $6 billion United States dollars is estimated to leave the economy every year through corruption. Now we need 6 billion Ghana cedis to be able to curb over 180,000 employed people per year. This is the issue. If you think about it, it's sad, and it's. I don't want to dwell on.
Well, I even have another story here, one of the trending stories, and it's similar to this. I think you touched on it. It's about the education minister saying that the government has approved over 1 billion Ghana cedis to pay allowances of 6,200 unemployed teachers, and this was announced by our education minister, Haruna Idrisu. And again, back to the issue of, you know how many people you want to employ. Why haven't you paid them? Why has it taken you this long to pay them? Are you using their salaries and allowances as investment somewhere else that we don't know of? And why are they seemingly, I don't want to use the word disposable in a way, but why are they the ones who can be sacrificed for others or something? Because these are also essential workers. When COVID hit, people finally understood the importance of teachers. Because having to sit at home with their kids and teach them, they realized, teacher ejumane and that form. And now these workers, the teachers and especially the health workers, these two groups, look at what's happening to them. Where would that take our education and our health systems? But before we continue, we have a video. So let's take a look at the video and then we get back into the conversation.
Who are unhappy with the government over their unending. They work for a number of months without pay. I'm happy to announce that Cabinet has given approval for the 6,200 teachers to be absolved. We'll begin the process in due course. They will have their IDs, but as I assured them, they will get back pay. But you see, I haven't demonstrated and pelted stones at us. They have to pay for the we will give them back pay. But for their conduct, what do we get in return? How that they didn't disrupt any academic work. So those 6,200 teachers I think I can speak for both ministries in this matter. Cabinet gave the Minister of Finance approval to file budget and spend upon about 1.1 billion Ghana cedis to absorb a category of health workers and teachers.
Right, so that was the Honorable Minister Haruna Idrisu, and he was just re-emphasizing what I just mentioned, that yes, over 1 billion cedis has been, approved for paying the allowances of 6,200 unemployed teachers. And I was just thinking about it when I saw him. I was thinking about the fact that sometimes the members of parliament, I think at a point, they tried to put up a petition about paying those who are no longer members of parliament, or I think even something about their pensions, yes, that they don't get pensions and whatnot. And you realize that the way they can stand up to push for something, it begs the question that why don't they do that for the people they are representing then? Because if it's for themselves, you can see a lot of zeal and vigor, but...
So, Yara, it's so sad that you have to protest, demonstrate before you get what is rightfully yours. So the whole issue also still boils down to these two teachers and health workers. They were not asking for salary increment or all that. What is basically their basic salary? I mean, it is so sad that you see you employ these people, like you rightly said, these people are essential workers, teachers, health workers, and then they would have to demonstrate. Now that you expect them to work without pay, without nothing, zero. Look at what we saw during the demonstrations. People could not even afford the basic needs, water, rent, and all that, because they are not being paid for over 10 months. And then we look at this, and then we expect teachers, when they go to the classrooms, they should give their all. And health workers, when they go out, they should give their all. It doesn't work like that. And it shouldn't work like that too. I mean, it's so sad. And so it all boils down to the fact that, fine, if I go into nursing, or I'm a teacher, I'm a trained teacher, and at the end of the day, I don't get employed here, and I get in there, I'll just go away. I just travel to another country where my services will be valued, where I'll be paid, where I'll be seen as someone who is playing a major role in the country and all that. Because this is very sad. These are young people we are talking about. They decided to go to school, come up, help the country. They didn't decide to go to the Galamsey side, help to take Galamsey. They didn't go on robbery. Money. They didn't go into, to use this for prostitution and all that. They are willing to help the country. They did not ask for salary increment. What is rightful theirs? Give it to them. And how can you recruit workers without thinking of how to pay them? I mean, there was a clearance, but then the money wasn't coming. I mean, it is not fine. It's not fair. And then we should do better as a country. And I will say this, we focus on politics, elections. Look at the amount of money we spend during elections just to get power. But then we are not thinking of the ordinary Ghanaian. Stuff like education, road, infrastructure, a whole lot. But then we spend a whole lot of money conducting elections and what have you. Look at what is happening currently. Galamsey, we can't fight Galamsey. And then at the end of the day, the ordinary Ghanaian will pay for the cost of this Galamsey issue. And I know you will talk about it, water and electricity. The ordinary Ghanaian will pay for it. What is happening? What is happening? We elect people to represent us. We know that they know what is actually transpiring in our constituencies, and we expect them to carry those issues to Parliament, talk about it, and then we find ways to solve these issues. They rather get there. Some of them even go to Parliament, and they will never even say a word. For 4 years, they'll sit down, they'll spend money and come back. It's not fair.
You know, what you mentioned about the fact that we focus, or the country, or the leaders, let me put it that way, focus on elections. It reminds me of this comment. I don't remember who made it, but it was quite profound that ballot boxes find their way to every nook and cranny of the nation when it comes to elections, but not development. And even when the Akwetia by-elections were going to happen, these political parties went there to campaign. These politicians find their way to every constituency to campaign because it matters to them. So if elections matter to you this much, and the thing that will cost the people you are going to, treading the valley of the shadow of death with all these, what's the word, very almost unnavigable roads to get to these people to campaign to them. Why not make their lives better one way or another? An idea that just came to mind, that for every member of parliament that comes into parliament, they should be given the mandate to at least construct a clinic and a school with quarters for their constituency. So within that 4 years, if you've not done anything, at least we know there's a clinic
even if there
in
are
your name,
maybe the quarters would be maybe additional cost. Out of every district, out of every constituency, there are youth over there. You can make healthcare and health education attractive to them. Pick 4 of them, 5 of them, 7 of them. Take them to the trainee schools. Let them come back and be equipped with these skills that when they go back, they know that there is employment opportunities waiting for them. When they go, they can move from their homes to the community health centers and then go and serve over there, and will be okay. That's how we started. This particular thing we are talking about is way back. There were these were how even how do we call it, cinemas were set up. In the days of Nkrumah, you call people and then you let them be trained by foreigners, and then they go back into their villages and they are called operators. So wherever there is a community gathering in the evening and all that, they are the ones who come and show movies for the whole community. So this particular kind of training, centralized training to train all people for decentralized levels, it's been done since the days of Kwame Nkrumah, and it was even done for entertainment purposes. And now that we need it for important issues like healthcare, we cannot get them done. We said we are creating 275 community health compounds, CHIP compounds, to help our healthcare. We actually outdoored it. We brought it out, a good initiative and all that. Budgets were allocated and all that. But right now, we are not seeing the light of day when it comes to that. Our healthcare, when it comes to the rural communities and some other districts, are not being catered for. There's over 75,000 unemployed youth who are supposed to be nurses, health professionals, and they do not have jobs at the moment. So now, and they are ready. They are ready to go into these decentralized levels to go and work. However, the best or one of the plans that the government have is to do a managed immigration program. So it's not the best. It's not the best. And I hope that this is a new how do you call it? This is a new process or a new system that they are being set up. It's being set up. So and we hope that it comes today, because the health minister in his submission also made mention that over 13,000 people were not given the clearance for employment and all that from the previous administration, employed without budgetary allocations and all that. But then this is where we don't want to reach, where people are pointing fingers at regimes and governments that you started it, and we are just trying to manage your mistakes and all that. Now you've assumed power. Health is your responsibility, and make sure that you do not point fingers. As well as education. Exactly. Yeah. So that's where we are.
So we have a set of comments here. So let me read them then. So this one is from Matthew Ababio. And he says, building CHIP components go with adequate accommodation for health workers, not just the hospitals and CP. I'm not sure what CP could mean, but then he says, we need as a country to analyze how much we spend on politics and how much we spend on actual development. Focusing on politics alone, as the gentleman is saying, would not take the country anywhere. Thank you so much for your comment. Then we have Theophilus Addison saying that that's how the idea of Agenda 111 came across. It necessitates collective action from various sectors. The media must raise awareness, academia should provide research-backed insights, and students need to engage in informed discussions. By fostering a comprehensive dialogue around Galamsey, Ghanaians can work toward sustainable solutions that protect the environment while promoting economic development. Only through continuous and inclusive conversation can society grasp the full menace of galamsey and seek effective resolutions. Then the last one, let me see whether, okay, it's also pretty long. So this one is from a phone number, no name here. It says, I think we should commend the health minister for the measure put in place for our sisters and brothers to get something doing for the meantime. It is true our hospitals need more health workers, but you and I know that the financial state of the country left behind by the previous government is nothing good to write home about. You and I know the current government is doing well to curb this menace. For instance, if the previous government had put up more facilities instead of sloganeering, building health facilities instead of building cathedral, employing nurses without clearance, etc., we wouldn't have been here. We need to get our people working while we look for, okay, the name is here, while we look for long-standing solutions. This is from Morris Bacha. So just like Nanaya said, we may end up getting into finger pointing, and that's what just happened in the last comment where, yes, he seems to be apportioning some blame to the previous government, but it goes beyond that. This has been happening for years, to the point where junior officials or junior officers come, they're complaining, and the senior ones will tell you, I went through worse than you. And it's almost like, since it's a rite of passage at this point, and it's not fair. Because if all health workers decide we are striking, we're all in trouble.
So there's also a concern about finance, and all of that. And so this brings to the facts about IMF. I think last Tuesday we talked about it, IMF. Like I was saying, we've been to IMF 17 times already, and this within like 40 years. And so talking about we not having money to pay these people, what really does IMF, demand from us? The monies we go. And
what do we use it for?
That is the fact here. Because currently, what we are now, IMF, they were in town last week to finalize the fifth, And so some of their demands is that we cut down spendings and all that. And this will affect like employment. You get it? And then it is going to broaden the tax base and all of that. And so if you don't have money to run our affairs and be run to IMF also has its own demands, and that we can't even employ more people. We have to cut down our spending and all of that. Then it means that as a country, indeed, we need a reset, and that reset should start from somewhere. And that reset should begin with the people in mind, and not what we are going to gain as politicians or whatever it is.
Like you're saying, they've been told not to employ more people. But here is the case, the employed people are not even being paid. So there isn't even an option to employ more people if those already employed have nothing to write home about or nothing at the end of the month to say, okay, these are my wages. And that's one thing we need to look at. If IMF is telling us not to employ more people, then the monies we get from them, we should apportion some to paying the employed ones so that at least they can also have something to put in their pockets, improve their quality of service. Because somebody who hasn't been paid for 8 months, you expect that when you go there, they shine their teeth and smile, beaming at you. No, because the work they are doing, they're not seeing anything. I mean, there is the aspect of the passion and whatnot, but this is employment. It is no longer about passion at this point. Passion would probably just determine their relations with us and whatnot.
Passion will not pay the bills at the end of the month.
Passion does not pay rent. You see, so it is your salary, your money, the income you're making. So with them, like you said, when IMF comes into play and we are getting some grants and some loans and some bailouts, how much of it is apportioned to our workers, the health workers and the teachers, and the workforce in general, the country? Because these people who haven't been paid, it will get to a point where after some time, they have to be upgraded onto a better salary scale or something. The entry-level salary hasn't even been paid. Now you are going to be there for a number of years. What are they upgrading? The zero?
Serious.
Well,
talking about IMF, let me just chip in this one. Recently, Professor Peter Korte, Peter, your namesake, has come out to say that Ghana, with the trend or the trajectory that we are actually going on, are likely to, let's say, outperform IMF's conditionalities. Now, the IMF conditionalities are not there in relation to the health, are not there to make sure that whether we employ or we do not employ people. The IMF conditionalities are there to make sure that our economy becomes stable. When you look at the way or the point that our economy was at before we actually went for an IMF bailout, which we were promised that we were never going to in the first place, then you realize that the economy was somewhere that needed some sort of salvation or salvaging. And then now we are at a point where we know that after that particular salvage, after all that, we need some stability. So if you realize the IMF has been in different phases, and now that's where we are. So it's not changing here that IMF says don't employ. So you are also not going to employ. That is a means by which a lot of people, that's a means by which maybe some people give excuses for that. Because year in, year out, people go on retirement. What do you do when someone goes on retirement? You replace the person with someone new. So we are not talking about total not employing at all, total unemployment at all in our public sector schemes. But to make sure that we do it in such a way that it does not affect the conditionalities that have been given. You know, because a lot of people, for instance, when we went on an IMF bailout, before the previous government went out of power, look at the number of people that they employed, or the number of, maybe, as people were saying, party faithfuls speculated that they were employed into the public services. You realize that still they are saying IMF conditionalities are there, but the same IMF conditionalities were there before we went for the elections. Yet they still employ people in public offices. So that one alone, there, it is a different, is a non-starter. As an excuse of not, it may come out and say that do not employ the quota of people, or public employment should reduce and all that. But that notwithstanding, it's a measure that you claim that public employment, this is how much you use on salaries. So we are trying to cap it at this particular point or region, so that you stay within the confines of your budgetary allocations, and that's what they are doing. So if you are responsible in our finances, if you are responsible with our fiscal policies, then you realize that we are not so stringent on the policies that they are given. As Honorable Peter Korte said, that's Professor Peter Korte, that the IMF in its recent outlook projects a 4% GDP growth for Ghana. That means by the end of 2025, slightly below the World Bank's 4.3 index. However, what's on ground at the moment shows that we may outperform that particular metrics. And that notwithstanding, when you look at the expenditure patterns by the government, you realize that last week, on Tuesday, I came to say that we've had a lot more spending on consumption expenditure as government via fiscal policies than capital expenditure. Capital expenditure would help us to sort of grow the economy because it's capital, and whenever capital is inputted as an input of production, the reward for that is profit and all that. So these are some of the reasons why the GDP projections are there. Even though capital expenditure is low on the government's fiscal policy side, then you realize that the GDP is projected to outperform both the World Bank and then the IMF projections, which is 4.3 and then 4% respectively. So it's a good outlook for us. So they shouldn't tie it on our neck and say that they said we shouldn't employ, so we are not going to. That's just a mere excuse.
But you know, the outperforming of the metrics and whatnot, as much as we will hear about it and all of that, how much of it actually reflects? Because it's quite like the appreciation of the city, sorry. Yes, our city has gone up, whatever, but when it comes down to the macro and microeconomics, we're not seeing that much change in, the standard or cost of living. So that is another part of it we also need to probably look into, because yes, it's looking good on paper, but the people, sitting at the, in the local languages, we say sitting beside the fire, we are not feeling anything that is being put out there, you see. So, yes, it looks like we are doing outside gentility and home cry. We need to also do inside gentility or home gentility.
There's this particular findings that has actually come out away from these topics that we are talking about. It's about, if you remember, the murder in February 24th February this year. There was a murder case in the Upper West region, WA to be precise, by the owner of what we call the WA Dubai, which is the Royal. I should get the name right. Is the Royal? Just a second. Yes. His name is Eric Johnson. Okay. And the Royal Cozy Hills Hotel, popularly called the Jirapa Dubai. And he was murdered. He was stabbed by a man called Elisha Mahama. So this particular thing happened on 24th February 2025, earlier this year. So after that, 3 people were arraigned and then were asked to appear in court. However, 2 of them were considered not guilty and have been freed. But then Elisha Mahama has been sentenced to life imprisonment, and that's where he is going to be. Eric Johnson actually brought out a certain... He beautified WA with his innovation. He set up the Royal Cozy Hills Hotel, and in that, it has a man-made lake in there. It has a safari, over 4 kilometers land of safari, where you could see zebras, you could see antelopes, deers, and all that, in the savannah regions, and the animals that are there. He actually sort of made the Upper West region very much attractive with some of the innovations that he placed on there. The Royal Cozy Hills Hotel was an example of that. Unfortunately, he met his untimely demise when Elisha Mahama, that is, stabbed him to death. And now, some of the justice has been served, and this Elisha Mahama has been sentenced, has been found guilty and sentenced to life imprisonment.
Truly, justice has been served. Thank you for that update. These are the kinds of updates we need, like when we hear some of these issues, what has happened, because it's happening in February. We're hearing about the final, decisions made by the law enforcement and everything somewhere in October. It's been a while, but it has come, and I'm sure the family of the deceased would also be grateful that the attacker or the murderer basically has also been brought to bear and justice has been served. Now,
if people want extra information on it, for instance, find out how he stabbed me and all that. And Elisha Mahama was the manager of the Royal Cozy Hills Hotel that we are talking about.
So
and apparently, he had been reported to his boss that his boss is called Eric Johnson.
Okay.
That multiple times sexual misconduct in the office, misappropriation of funds and all that. So there was a time that on February 10th, to be precise, in the evening, he went into the office of Eric Johnson, and then during an altercation, he stabbed him multiple times. And then he also took some huge amounts of money, and then his Nissan car, he took his Nissan car keys as well, so that he wouldn't be able to maybe get any healthcare, even if he tried to, meaning that this was a very planned and calculated attack on him. And that he left him naked also in a pool of blood. You could actually tell how calculated this was.
That's gruesome.
So he's been given life imprisonment, and we hope that...
I hope.
But then beyond that, in as much as justice has been said, some of these things, looking at the personality, looking at this person that he has killed, and then we saying that like for 5 or 10 years to come, the kind of things this man could have, done. And so he being prisoned, like life imprisonment, doesn't really, for me, doesn't really
So, Peter, are you trying to say they should bring back death sentence?
I mean, for you to kill, and even the idea behind, you know, it's so unfair. But then, like, these are some of the things that we are talking about, coming up with the findings and all that. This will help to, you know, this will actually help to prevent, you know, some issues pertaining, like, so if you find yourself in the situation of this corporate right now, you know how to move your ways. And this will serve as a guide. So these are some of the things we expect. And then kudos to the investigation team and all that. Yeah. But then I feel there should be more to this life sentencing.
And mixing work with pleasure too is an issue. Yeah. So Mr. Eric Johnson, that's the late Mr. Eric Johnson, found out that the workers in his office were often, it was impeding work process. Yeah. And then investigations got to show that Mr. Eric Mahama was having sexual affairs with at least four of the workers in there. So as a manager, sleeping with that, four people in the office.
Using that to
promise them and blackmail them.
Yes, blackmail them, make their lives harder.
Yeah, so they were not happy because there's like some sort of rivalry. He's my boyfriend, and then that was what happened.
This story is stressful.
Yes, this particular man was sacked. So when he was sacked, it was after when he was sacked that he actually came to that. So he came, stabbed him multiple times for revenge and all that during an altercation. And he took his Nissan car, drove away, and went to park it at Dirapa Zongo. And he left the car abandoned over there, thinking that, nobody is going to find out. After that, he went inside his room and had another girlfriend called Laurette Asari over there. And then he went to meet Laurette Asari, and he realized that maybe the heat might be on. So he left Laurette Asari in his room and told Laurette Asari that, don't worry, I'm going to get food and come. And he absconded. That was when all fingers pointed to him. Laurette Asari was also assisted in investigation, and he was actually nabbed finally. That's how the story went.
Listening to the track record, he's just not a good person. Because 4 girlfriends at work, an extra one at home, and killing your boss, you've been sacked. Yeah. And you go and kill your boss, you take his car and take it somewhere else. This is premeditated. This is somebody who probably needs some psych evaluation. He might be, let me not use the words. Anyway.
I mean, these are issues that we need to look at. Recently, we heard of what transpired between the KNUST Senior High School headmaster and the student, and many others that have been happening. So I think these are issues that we need to sit down and look at, like workplace affairs and all that. What does the law really say?
Yeah.
You understand? So these are issues we should look at so that it doesn't get to this extent.
Right. That being said, before we continue, I'd like to alert you, cherished viewers, that the phone lines are opened. So please do well to call and share your thoughts. Please keep it in a minute or less so that others can also get the chance to call in and share their thoughts. Now, there is a story about the Ghana and China tariffs, and the businessman here will give us some more information. But for now, let's take a look at the video and listen to what's happening.
Between 2020 and 2024, China's exports to Ghana rose by nearly 46%, while Ghana's exports to China increased by over 11%. China's decision to grant zero tariff access to Ghanaian and African products signals the confidence in our partnership. It opens vast new markets for Ghanaian exporters, agro-processors, and manufacturers. And I'm happy to inform you that we reached agreement in principle, and we have targeted the end of October to be able to sign off on the zero tariff principle. I wish to commend the government of China for this act of solidarity. We are all aware that the multilateral rules-based trading system is being upended by unilateral slapping of tariffs on different countries. This is the time for us to solidarize and to come together. And this initiative by China is very...
Right, so that was our president making a speech about the tariffs. So, Peter, this one, explain it into 1, 2, 3 ABC for us.
Now give us the statistics.
All right, divide and conquer.
Yeah, so this is not actually the first time. We saw the ex-war administration president, former president Nana Addo Akufo-Addo also went there to sign the same. And then the former president, may he so rest in peace, Professor John Evans Atame also did same. And even recently, before this administration, the vice president, the former vice president Bawumia also did same. So when you look at the history, Ghana and then China, when it comes to this bilateral agreement, you will see that most of the times it doesn't materialize. But then let me put that aside and let's just focus on this one. This one is not peculiar to Ghana alone, like the president said. It's peculiar to all African countries, the zero tariff. But then Ghana is yet to come to a conclusion, like you rightly said, at the end of this month. And when you take a look at Ghana and then you take a look at China, you see that China is like a power country. They have all the resources. They manufacture a whole lot. And so when in terms of this, agreement, what are some of the things that we export to China and what are some of the things that we import? When you take a look at this, then it means that right now there is zero tariff. And so what are the things that we are going to import? And what are some of the things that we are going to export? So you see that currently most countries are trying to, avoid this kind of the importation of goods and all that. So when you take a look at China, mostly we import most of the things from China, and every household in Ghana here has one or two. And there has been this argument about some time ago, Parliament, when they wanted to change their the staff, the structure of they had to employ someone from China to do that. Meanwhile, we had Ghanaians who are very good, who could actually. And so when you talk about China and Ghana, the importation of things, it is actually happening. So the fact is that recently we heard that AGOA, which is the African Growth and Opportunity Act, has been terminated, which is in the US by Biden, which it is free duty. We can export all things to the United States without any duty. That has been terminated. So for me, from where I'm sitting, I see this to be an opportunity. If US has terminated the AGOA, then we should look at other alternatives. So China is the next alternative. But where, for me, the issue lies is that what do we import? Now, when you take a look at the things that we import, the destinations that we import stuff, China is the 4th country. It isn't even part of the 3 countries that we export to: Switzerland, South Africa, UAE, and all that. China is the 4th country. And so my focus here is what we are going to gain from this whole bilateral agreement. You get it? Because we don't have what it takes to manufacture. Already, we export oil,
don't do that to
Cocoa. That is the fact.
It's something small. We can do something small. Or you can't just say that we don't. I think we have a little going on, but it needs help. So that being said, I think that this agreement can be something of you can export some of your raw materials to us freely, and we give you personnel to train you. I don't remember very well. I vaguely remember a conversation about industrialization in this country and how, we started out as a pro-industry country, and all of a sudden, or some years down the line, these industries are, just run down or even sitting there collecting dust and rust. Why not get these technocrats? Because China is also known for very innovative technology, advanced technology that is miles ahead, Sometimes you see these videos, some of them we don't even know if it's AI generated, but you can see that the nation seems to be very focused on industrialization. Why don't we do something like that exchange program, like you even used for the example with the operator thing? If we have that going on here for a number of years, we are exporting freely to them, and they are getting the raw materials directly, we too.
So before Nana comes in, the issue is that won't Ghana become like a dumping site for China? Because when it comes, what are some of the things that we can in return export?
Yes, so
already.
So that's why we need to draw the boundary that, okay, yes, you've given us a chance to export to you freely, and so maybe if it's 1 ton, we can add half a kilo to it, what we say into swore or something. But we too need to also stand firm with what they can also bring to us. And that's why I'm saying that we can try to streamline it towards getting people who can come and train people here in advanced technology.
I think what Peter is swaying towards is
or the goods and services.
Yes, because we are also looking at the fact that essentially what the Chinese will actually gain from this is a lot of our raw materials and our resources, timber, gold, bauxite, and the likes, where they do not have those kind of raw materials in there. But then when you look at what we tend to export from them, bar few to import from them, that is, bar few, how do you call it, industrial technological equipment, what we tend to get from them is a lot more of the things that we do not use, but I don't say we do not use in terms of in our production phase or industrialization phase, but we actually just like clothing, like all other stuff. So when you impose a zero tariff, now who is going to actually win in this particular case? Now, talking about the term zero tariff, right, I'll take a little bit of a background on that. In earlier April this year, the United States imposed a tariff on all countries that were trading with them. Now, what happened was the European Union also created something, because they know that the America also gets a lot of imports from the European Union. So what they did was they implemented what they call a 0 for 0 tariff for the United States. So now there was a 0 for 0 tariff for the United States. That means, and then the European Union. If you belong to the European Union and then you're exporting something to the United States, you don't pay any tariff on that. If you are in the United States and you're taking something to, you're exporting something to the European, any country in the European Union, you don't pay tariffs for that. Now, that was what they established. And what they did was that for all other countries that do not belong to the European Union, there is a 10%, at least a 10% tariff on levied on imports and exports for them. Now, this went into play and affected us. As you mentioned, the tariff agreement that was cancelled under the Biden administration, that was signed and then now it's cancelled. So what then brought about this particular thing is that as Ghanaians, or the Ghanaian government now thinking about it, well, we do need services of the European Union. We do need services of the United States of America. But we cannot rely on them and say that this is what we are going to do. We are going to bank on them. Meanwhile, they are still imposing tariffs. And whenever we actually do rely on them, what do we do? We end up creating pressure and extra demand on the United States currency, which is the United States dollar. That means we would need more dollars, at least 10% more, to export things to them. And then also, it will cost us 10% more to import things from them. What then do we do? An ideal substitute is the Asian market. And who is the leader of the Asian market? China, Japan, and the likes. So now what we want to do is that we want to establish these agreements with the Chinese markets, the bigger markets, that instead of going all the way to America to go and export, or to go and, in fact, import things from them, then which is being levied with at least a 10% import levy. What we are doing is that we are making this agreement with China so that we will have some sort of a zero tariff agreement with them, which is going to help. But then again, when it comes to continental free trade, zero tariff agreements is the ultimate winner. When it comes, is the ultimate joy that we want to actually see to promote free and fair trade.
Yeah.
But now, what they are going to do is that the value of the things that they would import from us and the value of the things that we would import from them, based on our demographics, our lifestyle, and all that, we realize that they would actually be gaining more than us. But however, this is something that we have to bear, that we definitely need imports where our economy is at the moment. We need imports for it to thrive or for it to move on. But now we cannot get it from the America, and we are creating another. We can get it from the America, but although it will be more expensive, we are creating an alternative market from the Asian market, and China is one of the leaders over there. So I think this is a step in the right direction, and you cannot eat your cake and have it. So it'll come with some repercussions, and which we should be ready to embrace. And we should also try to take advantage of this particular zero tariff agreements that we've had with them and make sure that we profit more out of it.
You know, considering the fact that Africa seems to be the place where all the other nations come to for their raw materials, I think we need to be able to somehow stand on that. There seems to be this low, I don't want to use low self-esteem, but let me use humility for lack of a better explanation, where it's like, because we know that we cannot exactly process these raw materials into adequately quality finished products, these people tend to, dictate to us. But here is the case. If we want to look at it where we can build our confidence that if you think you can get it from somewhere else, we also have it. And the somewhere else may not have it as much as we do. So we can leverage on some of these things. As you're saying, this zero tariff thing, we may end up not benefiting as much as the other nation. But if we are able to also stand firm on the fact that we want specific things, like I was mentioning with the training, if we don't just let them also say, okay, yeah, you can export things to us, but rather we make streamlined requests or demands, to fit into the agreement.
That is true. But one thing that we often neglect out of the factors of production is capital, or not capital, human resource. That's the labor part of it.
But we have enough unemployed people who
exactly. So a lot of people would actually want to go to China to go and have some sort of training.
No, let's not do that. We'll get brain drain. So
it's okay. It's okay. It comes that you cannot eat your cake and have it. So
we should have all these people trained and stuck in China while we're
stuck
here.
In China.
They will not to come back.
The thing is, when you go to some of these countries, right? We look at a lot of these businesses that we have in our country now that are flourishing. You look at them, and then you look at the personalities behind them.
Yeah.
Most of them may have actually gone to have some form of education or training outside.
Yeah, that's true.
So it comes at a cost. That's why I'm saying that you cannot eat your cake and then have it.
So another way we can also do it is this way. Come and train the people. Invest in our already established industries. Make some profit. You use some maybe 3 to 5 years. Train these people. Get your money. This is free, right? Just because we are also exporting freely to you. Train our people that when you leave, they can also man these industries. Isn't that a win-win?
Yeah, so we are yet to find out the whole deal, what the whole deal is about. But the sad truth is that we actually export our raw materials.
Yeah.
They
process
it and bring it back to us.
Yes.
And then we can't even buy them. That's the sad truth.
The last time I tried buying King's Bite chocolate. Well, let's go to your newspapers quickly, then we can go into the online story. But okay, wait, before that one, there's another export story here. So it's about our Vice President, Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman. She reaffirmed Ghana's commitment to moving beyond the export of raw cocoa beans toward building a robust cocoa economy that empowers farmers and creates sustainable jobs. Now, here's the case. Galamsey and things are also in the mix. How are we going to go beyond exporting the raw materials? How much value can we add to some of these raw materials before we even export them? But before we enter into the conversation, we have a video to be displayed. So let's take that.
We need structured, blended financing models that combine capital investment with affordable working capital, risk-sharing mechanisms, and technical support that reaches even small rural processors. EU Sustainable Cocoa Initiative and the Global Gateway Framework are well placed to capitalize and to crystallize this. The recent cocoa price hikes, largely driven by cocoa impacts and supply shortfalls, underline the need for this joint action. Ghana is therefore open to partnerships that combine positive outcomes with disease and pest control and establishment of commercial plantations. Trade barriers also pose another challenge. While tariffs on raw beans are often zero, duties rise significantly on cocoa powder and chocolate products, limiting our ability to export processed goods. Addressing these tariff escalations is critical for fair trade. Cocoa is part of Ghana's broader transformation. Our Big Push initiative is building infrastructure for agro-industrialization, while the Connect 24 pillar of our 24-hour economy ensures that there is seamless flow of goods, energy, and data. Our living income differential, introduced by us and La Côte d'Ivoire, signals our shared commitment to ensuring that farmers earn fair return for their labor. Ghana is clear about the road ahead. We must move beyond exporting raw beans to building a cocoa economy that empowers our farmers, creates jobs, develops industry, and upholds sustainability. The EU Sustainable Cocoa Initiative can be a partner in this journey by supporting investments in processing, unlocking financing for cooperatives and small and medium-scale enterprises, and ensuring that sustainability standards are inclusive and not punitive. I invite all of us to work together to build a cocoa sector that not only provides effective cosmetics, healthy food products, that not only sweetens the world's palate, but also enriches.
Right, so that was our vice president, and she was shedding more light on the headline I just read. So, yes, I think I noted one thing that she mentioned about even the producers at the smaller scale level. So it's not just the people who own acres of cocoa farmlands that have cocoa farms, but to get to everybody. And I think it can help us, though. Just that as Africans, adding value to our raw materials is one thing that we are lacking. And something needs to be done about that.
Yeah, you know, value addition does not come out of the vacuum. It involves heavy investment. Now, one of these things that the world, you remember that the Western world moved from various regimes. There was once in the late 1800s and then the early 1900s where they called the industrialization regime.
Yes, I was thinking about it today.
Yes, the industrialized sector. Industrial Revolution, where we had Otto von Bismarck principles and all that. Now, the world has moved beyond that, and they've now gone into service delivery and all that. But it looks as though as the world was moving, they left us behind, because the industries that they put in place to make sure that all these processes become like a norm, just like planting, we are still left in the planting phase. And we still plant, and we do not have the industries to process these things. So it is not bad to go back to these things, set up industries, and not take your raw materials and transport them to people who have gone beyond that phase and are now at service delivery phase. Otherwise, you would keep doing that, and then the vacuum will still be there. You keep transporting goods and services, raw materials to the Western world for them to process for you without setting up industries for your own. If you should bite the bullet, make sure that, for these 4 years, we are reducing imports and focusing on building industries over here. You may get it wrong. The quality may be not as the ones that you then import in after sending your raw materials. But after a few years, you get it right.
Get there.
So let's set up our industries ourselves. Make sure that we are biting the bullet. Adjust our tastes and preferences to what is to come from our own local industries. For instance, looking at rice, we are seeing that rice is actually taking a better turn. Ghanaians have started producing long grain perfumed rice, and which is now going to reduce the reliance of rice imported from Thailand and the likes. So
Have we started producing basmati?
if we can actually do that, yes, we have actually started producing
that's
basmati for because I don't want to. I'll not mention the brand so that I'll do free advert for anybody. But we have started that, and it reduces over reliance. So industrialization does not come out of vacuum. It needs heavy capital investment, and as this government has made us understand, they've actually reduced capital expenditure so that we can be in confinement with the IMF restraints or constraints that they give us. Now, looking at the outlook for next year, I'm expecting that if we are going to see a lot more industrial gains, then a lot more capital expenditure should be placed in those particular aspects or to make sure that there's capital boost or there's industrialization boost in the country so that we can actually go back to where we were left behind. And then now we pick up from there, and then we set up our own industries and do that.
And building on what you mentioned, the fact that, yes, the Western world, there was the era of the Industrial Revolution, and there are more than enough books. Some of us went to school, we studied some of these things, as you mentioned, some of the theorists and things. I think there are enough documents, there could be enough material that we ourselves as Africans can just read and, put things together and do. Because I was talking about training, and I seem to want to counter myself now, because it's almost like you're waiting for somebody to come and, train us before we understand the work. But we are fairly educated. Some of us are even more educated than some average, Westerners these days. And there are so many, what's the name of the project works that people do? They're in the universities, they're in the schools, full of information that, we can go back and check these things, and then we can do what you're saying, like picking up where we left off, because these industries, being able to start producing long grain perfumed rice, somebody learned something from somewhere. Yeah. We ourselves can equip ourselves, no?
So the constraint here is the capital. Yes, the constraint here is the capital, the money to get involved in that. And then you're talking about this cocoa thing. When you go to the villages, the rural areas, those who are into cocoa, the hacks of the cocoa, they used to produce what we call the alata semina.
Okay.
So these people just need the visibility, the money, and extra training to just add the value to make it beautiful and all that. But the whole thing is that as Ghanaians, we don't prioritize our own. We don't prioritize our own as Ghanaians. So an average Ghanaian would prefer something from outside to something manufactured or produced here in Ghana. So the resetting agenda should go down to also resetting the mind as well.
Tastes and preferences. But then that notwithstanding, there is the quality that we have been maybe being used to due to the volume of imports that we receive in the country. And it wouldn't be fair on Ghanaians to say that we should just entirely adjust our tastes and preferences without also telling the producers, the local producers, to also make sure that they set high quality control standards. If I know that I'm going to buy an alata semina and I'll not see it's well sifted, it's well how do you call it? It's well processed,
packaged,
and I'm not going to see
it's not wrapped in that brown cement paper.
Exactly, we've moved beyond that. We should get to value addition ourselves and make sure that even if it is liquid soap, we are not seeing threads of hair of the producers in there as well. Because definitely, I wouldn't want to go and take my shower and see people's hair in there.
That's not even
we should beef up our quality control. But then again, we should also give grace to the. No, it's true.
The matter is critical.
This is industrial revolution. The industrial revolution initially starts with volume. Volume of goods that are being produced, that are being sold to people. So when we get to volume and we realize that now there is volume, then now we can pick and choose which one we want. So it's also included. Talking about cocoa once again, I'll just end with this. The value addition and the industrialization that we are driving at. The world market prices or the recent surge of cocoa prices, the cocoa prices have gone up in recent times. But there's a coalition on how do you call it, civil society groups that went into the pricing of cocoa, went into the villages, and went to see how the effects were on local farmers. And then they realized that some were even saying that you see that prices have gone up by this, and we are still being our cocoa beans are being bought for this amount. So don't you think it would be justified if we use the land and we start also mining in here and all that? So people are saying that the cocoa prices have actually shot up on a global scale. But when it comes to the farmers that are planting the cocoa, that are cultivating the cocoa in themselves, they are not feeling the effect of that particular price surge. So it's something that we have to look at it. But one says that cocoa producers continue to shoulder the highest risks, yet capture the least returns. It observes that the Ghana cocoa and the Côte d'Ivoire, who jointly produce more than 60% of the world cocoa, retains less than 6% of the industry's total value. So producing more than 60% of world's cocoa, that's Ghana and Ivory Coast, yet we are retaining less than 6% of the cocoa's industry value. It looks as though if we can actually create our industries. So what we've done is that they've made it so easy and simple for you to transport cocoa beans from here to Switzerland, for you to transport cocoa beans from here to China, so that they'll be processed to the US, so that they can be processed into other cocoa products and then be brought back to you. So it's very simple, and it looks as though we are taking the simple route all the time. What is difficult or product growth and industrialization will definitely come at a cost. We shouldn't take the easy route anymore. We should make sure that we are setting up our own industries to process them. Or be capital intensive, all right. But if we can set up 2 or 3 cocoa processing industries in plants in the country, we can set maybe one in the northern sector, one in the middle belt, one in the southern sector, and we can process these cocoa beans, set up transportation systems that will be able to bring the cocoa beans from the farm all the way to the industries. This is the plan. We can actually move on.
We should also, as much as we can set, we need to also, after setting up the industries, the value chain also needs to be empowered.
Yes.
Because, like I say, in transporting it, how many of our roads are good enough to transport in and around the country?
So when it comes to even transport, I'm tired of relying on our routes for transport. It's about time we've gone beyond it, that we start looking at our railway systems. Instead of building long kilometers of roads, imagine you had railway systems that in time immemorial. Right now, you see that when they are even building roads, they build and cover the rail tracks. And then the trains, because there's no hope that the train will even move again. So it's something that we have to go back to and then look at, so that we will be able to.
There's a lot that seems to need to go back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
Let's take the newspapers and then we do the last story and wrap up quickly. So, Peter, what do you have for us?
Okay, so I have the daily graphic, and on the front page, we have Ghana World Bank deepen ties to support 5 key sectors. That can be found on page 13.
IMF bill.
We also have rice sector can swell by 2,600%.
That's what we're actually talking about. That we've started producing long grain, perfume, rice, and all that. So there's potential in there. So we should adjust our taste and preferences and embrace that. First, we are going to start with the volumes of production, and then afterwards, we'll be able to now delve deeper into quality control, and then maybe picking up which ones you like. Maybe now I like Madras rice better than Kwekwan Ponsat's local rice, and it's a good way to go.
You know, in adjusting the taste and preferences too, you mentioned that we have become used to a certain standard of products. What happened to taking inspiration? I don't want to say copying, but taking inspiration from what you're seeing.
Yes.
The packaging, the ingredients, the processing, if all of that, because you cannot be used to probably a certain quality of product for so many years, and when it comes to say replicating something close, you say you don't know how to do it. No.
So I think that will take time. It will take time, but as we start, it's a gradual process. And even talking about this, relying on locally manufactured goods, some months back, as part of the 24-hour economy, trying to focus on locally produced goods. So we were talking about the fact that if we are to focus on the locally produced good, like in terms of food items, what happens to the export and all that? And so we saw that there's going to be some tariff that will be imposed on foods that will be exported from other countries. That is when we have, like, let's take for instance rice. We have locally, grown rice here, and maybe you choose not to, eat, and you want to other brand from outside. There is a percentage, there's a tariff that you are supposed to pay, and that's which, of course, they are looking at it being a source of, constraint, deter people from export. So we are hoping that it works well, and then we also have health alert, influenza cases on the rise.
Hey.
GHS asks public to be cautious. And then we also have UBA Ghana records stronger performance in the third quarter. Yeah, so basically,
influenza on the rise is basically flu. Flu is on the rise again. So let us get back to our nose masks and protect ourselves. If you are coming down with any symptoms, you know what to do. Social distancing, washing our hands, and taking your vitamins, vitamin C, fluids, and all of that. If it's serious, please do find your way to a health care center. And Nanea, let's go. Okay.
Look, I just wanted to touch on one story that had certainly made way to the Daily Graphic. That's your newspaper, and it's about UBA. Yeah. Now, UBA have actually come out to say that they've recorded strong performance in quarter three. Now, this is all part of a PR exercise that we know, because I'm calling it out because I've become a victim of it. UBA, the Bank of Ghana gave out some new guidelines concerning, in order to maybe be stringent on foreign exchange and the surge of the dollar. And they brought out some policies that there should be restrictions on the volumes of United States dollars that you actually get into the economy. You are allowed into the economy via your platform. So they give maximum, they give ceilings to the amounts that you can actually do every day. And UBA, United Bank for Africa, which I bank with, did not adhere to that. So their FX license for dealing in foreign transactions was suspended for 1 month. That is from September 18th all the way to October 18th, that is. So for that particular period, I've not been able to pay for my Spotify because now they have been sanctioned, and as a result, you cannot pay. So they're coming in here to say that they have a strong performance. It's sort of trying to lay off, yes. But next time, they should actually adhere to the rule of law, and they should listen carefully to what is the mandate.
This one is coming from a place of pain, but thank you for Now let's go to your newspaper quickly.
Yeah, so I have the Daily Guide, and today it says that minority raises red flag over 80 Telecel merger. And we're talking about that as well. Daddy Lumba gets not into widows fight again. MPP flag bearer race candidates in fierce battle. So we have Dr. Mahmoudou Baumia, we have Kennedy Japan, Dr. Osei Yao Educhin, Brian Champon, and then Kwabna Japan. And then we have Jirapa CEO's murder, Elisha Mahama gets life in prison. We actually talked about that as well. So now, minority raises red flag over 80 Telecel measure. I'll just touch on it a little bit before we move on. Now, we all know that Airtel Tigo and then Telecel, or 80 as we now call it, are trying to sort of merge. And then the ranking member for communications, he's part of the minority in parliament, he actually came out to say that this particular thing is not going to help, because when you limit the number of choices that people have, then you reduce competition and you leave consumers at the mercy of these people. Imagine Telecel and their purported internet speed. Imagine MTN and then there are purported price hikes and all that. When you combine these two people, that they should be the only people who have the duopoly in the market, then you realize that it's not safe or it's not the best for that is consumers. So it's advocating that either there's a new entrant into the telecell space or the telco space, I should say, but that is also not going to be feasible. Or you leave them to function as they should be, but then it looks as though the merger is that which is going to happen, and it might have adverse effects on
Why won't
Ghanaians.
Glo return and come and merge with AT or something? Because Glo came into the space and was a very big competitor against MTN, but
why did it die?
Sorrowfully, that didn't work out. What happened to Kasapa?
Kong, kong, kong.
So the issue is that, I mean, I like the aspects of what Nana said, so that it wouldn't be like DSTV. That issue where we have only one operator, that we don't have any option. But currently, when you take a look at the bucket, MTN has the larger market. That is about 75% or something. And then Telecell before 80. And so, like the ranking member said, you merging the two will sort of be like you giving more power to MTN. Already, I mean, I don't want to, already, a whole lot of Ghanaians are complaining about some services and all that. And so we need as many as possible so that we should have choices, preferences. So you can move from this network to other network if you feel that this network is not actually providing the services.
You see, at this point, these things, it has become like NDC and PP. Whatever you do is those two. Quite like MTN and Telecell, right? So it may help if AT is merged with Telecell to give Telecell, more numbers, more market.
The thing is, are you successfully satisfying the little numbers that you have? Are you able to provide them with the speed?
As for the telecommunications networks, the least said the better.
And when it comes to MTN, although they have the larger market share, you barely hear of. I'm not patronizing one network over the other, but I'm stating clearly the issues on ground. You barely hear issues of mobile money fraud or
with MTN
on Telecell, but you hear it more on MTN. Now, when it goes to Telecell too, you barely get compliments on fast internet from them. So these two people, giving them the duopoly of the market alone.
But how much difference is AT making? Let's being honest. How much difference was AT making regardless? Before this major issue came in, how much? There isn't much to say about that.
Notwithstanding, they have more than 1% of the share, and when it comes to that, it's not insignificant.
Yes, but as much as it's not insignificant, whatever difference it would make does not necessarily overturn the issue. This is even MTN. You said has about 70%. No, this is over 50% plus one. So in the end, you see that MTN is still taking over. And then also, MTN made the effort to, you see the Everywhere You Go campaign that started some time back, where they put up their poles everywhere. So people do have MTN as their only phone lines in some areas that, Telecell wouldn't have, connection. But it does not mean that they are not suffering some of the issues, connectivity problems and fraud issues. So I think that what may work better is if these two telcos decide to also do something like the Everywhere You Go campaign, where they reach out to other networks, you'd see that some of the people who have only MTN as their only network would want to try Telecell or AT to see whether maybe this is a better option for me than MTN, because our parents, even they say MTN for more credit, all those things. People have issues with MTN as much as the market is large. So the competition should come to the coverage rather than whether or not they should merge. And then after that, we can go into the quality of services they provide.
So the issue of this merger, quoting the Minister for Sam George, came as a result of debt. He says AT owes some amount, which of course even if they sell the whole 80, they can't pay. So the measure will be as a result of somehow trying to subsidize, So
the cost. Okay.
Yeah, so like you rightly said, we should look at. So, but we have people who actually uses all these three networks: MTN, Airtel, Tigo, and then Telecel. So for now, if you go out there and ask Ghanaians, so they will tell you, maybe I use this network because of I use this for this and all that. But still, we are not satisfied with their services. Sometimes the internet and all that, you can try all the three and still not get what you're actually looking for. So
this issue, we'll hear more on that as time goes on. So the last story is a Galamsey story, saving the best for the last, but our time is almost up, so we won't get to delve into it. So this is a warning.
Yes. We understand.
Now,
Galamsey.
So this one is saying Galamsey driving up utility costs, and ECG, Ghana Water Company, justify the 200% tariff proposal. The Ghana Water Company Limited and Electricity Company of Ghana are proposing over 200% increase in utility tariffs due to the devastating effects of illegal mining or Galamsey on their operations. Key issues include water pollution, where Galamsey has polluted a lot of water bodies, significantly increasing water treatment costs and straining Ghana Water Company Limited's resources. Then there's also power outages, where ECG is also saying that power distribution networks have been damaged, resulting in frequent outages and rising operational costs. So when I was reading more on this, the next one, and then I'll go there. So the next one is also infrastructure damage. Now, illegal mining activities have weakened power poles, leading to chain collapses and expensive repairs. So that was what I was just about to say, that
I was Takwa terminal. When you look at the damage that has been done from illegal miners, then you realize that these people, if we don't stop them in the western region to the western north, if we don't stop them, it's a menace because right now even our power lines, the Abwadze Takwa power lines and the substations and all that, have been heavily affected by illegal mining. Right now, you realize that the cables that they used to lay both over the land and underneath underground, all of them are facing traces. So now the Gridco and then ECG have announced that there will be planned maintenance or scheduled maintenance to make sure that they come back. And it's not helpful for us. Those who are doing Galamsey are hurting us. Yes,
it's true. Now the final one is about the financial impact, and both utilities are losing revenue due to unserved energy power purchase but not delivered to customers. So both Ghana Water Company Limited and the Electricity Company of Ghana emphasize that addressing Galamsey-related environmental damage is crucial to maintaining affordable and reliable water and electricity supply in Ghana.
The most painful aspect of this?
In 30 seconds.
Okay, so this time around, this proposed increment is not as a result of inflation or operational costs, but Galamsey. But I see a policy gap here. We have the PURC responsible for tariff, we have EPA for pollution, and then we have the minerals mining, the Minerals Commission for mining. But then we don't have an institution that regulates, the cost of damage to, how should I even put it, to the cost of living, consumer prices. We don't have any institution responsible for that. And then we don't have any law that states that whoever causes, a damage, like let's say Galamsey like this, if you cause any damage that you cause, you are supposed to pay it. In all aspects, like in everything, it goes round, and come down to the ordinary Ghanaian consumers to bear the cost. This Galamsey issue has been an issue on our necks for years now, and then it is high time we tackle it once and for all. Because if Galamsey, have we actually calculated the amount, the debt we are accumulating for our generation and the unborn generation as well? Because we don't factor these things, the environmental damages, we don't factor the cost it comes with. We don't factor them. And then it's sad. that currently, even though sometimes we tend to disagree with the ECG and water company in terms of tariff and all of that, but this one is real. This is their argument.
Problem. Yeah.
And so it's high time we fight Galamsey.
So moving to the last story before these men decide to take over again, the last story is about the Ghana Publishing Company offering to give emergency gazetting services at the National Service Authority head office. So this is to help to, publicize any or help the personnel who are incoming who may have any problems with their registration and all of that. So let's take a look at the video quickly. All right, so it seems there's going to be a collaboration between the National Service Authority and the Ghana Publishing Company.
Yes, I just want to touch on it in some few seconds. The Ghana Publishing Company, I've been to their offices themselves, right beside Accra Technical University, and that's where they are. I must commend them for the service that they actually offer. When you go there, very respectful, and they all listen to you. I mean, there are a few pockets of issues that you may encounter, but on the normal, they are very professional people. I've been really impressed by what I actually encountered when I went there. However, that notwithstanding, the prices for their services are very, very much, because someone might get married and want to gazette their name. That, for instance, I'm now adding this particular thing to my name. And when they do that, it's the prices that they actually charge there are quite exorbitant. From 800 Ghana cedis for Gazette to 1,200 or 1,300 Ghana cedis for just for Gazette. So it's quite expensive for the normal Ghanaian to actually purchase these things. So it's something that we have to look at, because it's not any idea every Ghanaian can afford. For instance, for a Gazette for a normal Ghanaian to be paying 2,000 Ghana cedis because they want it express, or 1,300 or 1,500 or 800 cedis. It's quite an amount.
And then also they making themselves available to help with the National Service Authority to help, facilitate or make the registration and all that very fast. I think it shouldn't end here. They should extend this to other, there should be registration centers. Places readily available that you can easily walk in and make your grievances known to them. And like Nana rightly said, the prices too. I think they should look at it and
there is a press statement here. So I'll just take it, then we can get more information on it. So yes, for immediate release, extension of online registration. You remember we were here and I asked if 1 week would be enough.
Yeah.
So this is saying that the National Service Authority wishes to inform the general public, particularly all prospective national service personnel for the 2025-2026 service year, that the deadline for the ongoing registration has been extended. Now, originally scheduled to end on Wednesday, 15th October, the registration period has now been extended to Friday, 24th of October, 2025. The extension is to allow additional time for prospective service personnel who, for one reason, were unable to complete their registration within the initial window. All service personnel are required to report to their respective places of posting and commence their national service by Monday, 3rd November 2025. Personnel who fail to complete their registration on or before Friday, 24th of October 2025, risk being excluded from this year's postings. All eligible graduates are therefore encouraged to take advantage of this opportunity to complete their registration process. Now, prospective personnel are reminded to visit only the official NSA website, which is www.gnsa.gov.gh. www.gnsa.gov.gh to access the registration portal. The authority cautions applicants to beware of unscrupulous individuals or fake websites posing as registration agents, and the system is designed to protect users against such fraudulent activities, but vigilance remains key. Now, the National Service Authority appreciates the cooperation of all stakeholders and assures the public of its continued commitment to a smooth and transparent registration as well as deployment process. So the window has been opened, the extension has been done, and with a publishing agency, I don't think I got information on as to whether it's going to be free. As you were talking about the prices you need to pay when you need to gazette something. So I think we'll get more information on that, and on Tuesday we will share details with you, but all too soon the online and print review has ended, and next we'll be having our birthdays and well wishes.
I heard today was your birthday. I heard today was your birthday. I heard today was your birthday.
So it's time for our birthdays and well wishes, and some of you have sent in your birthdays, and I have a few well wishes here too. So let's take the very first birthday and get into it. So this one says, happy birthday to you, my baby last Dromo. As you begin a new year of life, may God continue to protect you, bless you always. Age with massive grace from your brothers Adam Christian and your aunt Na Amankwa Osumpafu the first. Then the next one is to the one and only Obotan from Solo here with us, our baddest SM fan. So happy birthday to the baddest Baba and SM fan. Keep doing the work you do, and much love, Papa. Yes, a big happy birthday to you, Baba, the one and only one in town. Yes. Then we also have the next one coming up. This is it's the birthday of the dawn of my heart. Lovely. Help me show some love to the one and only Dokas Akese, and this is from Daddy K. Then we also have here, this is well wishes. So my condolences to my friend Nana, who lost her mother some months ago. She returns to Ghana from Dubai few days ago for her mom's funeral in Kumasi this weekend. My heart goes out to you, and may your mom's memories bring you comfort. And a shout out to her best friend Kekeli, who has stood by her from day one. And this is from James. And then personally from me, we have some spectacular October borns here in ClogSag and Clog TV. So we have Kofi Asare Abuaje. His birthday is coming up, and being a thorn in his flesh, I'm wishing him in advance. Happy birthday to you, and happy birthday to Pastor Bayo as well, also coming up. And then my sister, Priscilla Mefa Williams, happy birthday to you. I love you so much. Thank you for taking care of me, and continue to be the amazing sister that you are. Then Let's take the last one and we go into sports. Now, this one says, "Happy birthday, King Carlos. God bless you, brother. Cheers to a good life ahead from Tadi Bombers to you, Tony Tufo, a.k.a. King Naziru." Now, this is all we have for you on the birthday segment. Next is a sports segment with Benedict Nketia Kwarting. Do stay tuned. You're welcome back to the Koko Digest Morning Show. And if you're just tuning in, it's time for sports with Benedict Nketia Kwarting here. He's going to be giving us the updates and highlights, which teams have broken his heart and which teams are making him happy. Hello, Benedict. Good morning.
Hello, yeah. Good morning.
I hope you're well.
I'm very well. I'm doing great.
Has any team done anything to you in these past days?
Well. I mean, there's been heartbreaks here and there. Looking at the World Cup qualifiers with the African countries especially, let me focus on African countries because this is where we are. Over the week, we were expecting Nigeria to qualify in their group. Nigeria was the talk of the day because of where they had gotten to, and in their group especially, competing with Benin in South Africa and Nigeria being third. It was exciting watching that group match because the first on that group table is facing the third, and then all three of them want to qualify. The second two is ready to qualify. It was thrilling, but then at the end of the day, South Africa qualified, and Nigeria overtaking Benin to be second and Benin being third. But then they have a playoff that needs to go on. So with the World Cup qualifiers for the African teams, the first to qualify, automatically you are qualifying for the World Cup qualification. But then the second teams, they're taking 4 out of the best second. Okay. And then they will have a playoff. So after the playoff, then they will play a semi-final and then final. So after qualifying from the final, you move on to a tournament that involves most countries, a single countries from all the continents. So it's actually long. It's actually long for Nigeria. They've qualified for the playoffs. Hopefully they'll win this African competition and then they'll go in for the playoff, and then they'll come out and come and join Ghana over there for the World Cup.
So do you have any predictions for us?
First of all, I want to tell them that agenda delayed is not agenda denied. For Nigerians, this agenda must come off.
Delayed is agenda denied, right?
It will come off no matter what. But then, congratulations to them for joining the playoff. I don't think they'll qualify, but anything. I mean, whatever.
I know you would definitely go on X to throw them a whole lot.
Of course. We are doing our best on that side. But let me take you to our sports news for today. Our sports updates for today. So the first on the story, we have this is to empower women. So the African Table Tennis Championships, we have Cynthia Kwabi powering Ghana to the round of 16. So there is an African Table Tennis Championship going on in Tunisia. And then our own Cynthia Kwabi, who competed with the Nigerian opponents, and she qualified, of course. She was trailing by 3. She was down by 3-0, and then she was able to beat the Nigerian opponent and then qualify for the round of 16. So I think Cynthia is doing very well. She when you watch the clip that's going on, Cynthia was doing very well, and then she was able to beat her Nigerian opponent by 4-3. It was a comeback. It was a thrilling comeback. When we were watching the tournament, we saw how she was composed, how she was able to manage herself and come back from 3-0 down, 3-0 deficit to win over her Nigerian opponent. So she's qualified for the round of 16, and then she'll be facing Tunisia's opponent.
I didn't know that there was actually, what's the name? Table tennis championships. I don't think I've ever heard of that, even for women, actually.
There is.
Oh.
Yeah. The issue with these kind of tournaments is the news going around, the broadcasting. We don't really hear about it as others. There are not a lot of people out here in Ghana who are interested in these outdoor games, aside for football, basketball, and a few maybe F1 racing and all that. So I think we just need to get people involved. We need to talk more about this kind of sport so that people will be interested.
Right.
Let's get, especially in our school. So it will come in the stories.
Okay.
So the next story is MTN and GFA launching the maiden Elite Under 19 Championship to uncover next generation of football stars. So MTN is collaborating with GFA to launch the maiden Under 19 Championship, where we are able to get the next football generation that is coming up. Football starts from a very younger age. And then, we have to get our younger selves involved. Football is such a dynamic sport that when you are young, you are able to, if you are discovered earlier when you are young, you are able to get onto the game and you're able to play for a very long time. Unlike other sports where, you need to be at a certain age to be able to play very well. But when it comes to football, at a younger age is best for you. We have boys out there who are 19, who are 20 years, who are doing very well. They are performing very well for the likes of Lamine Yamal, for the likes of, we have players like our very own, what's his name, Tariq Lamptey. They are all young, under 25, under 26. But yes, these boys are also doing very well out there. So this is an initiative to discover the younger boys out there who can play very well, who can come in later on to come and join the national team and play for their country, Ghana. Let's move on to our next story. This is where we talk about discovering our younger boys and girls. Same as the second story, but then, of course, exposing them to other sports. So this is a GFA president meeting the education minister to strengthen football education partnership. So the GFA president, Koko, met with the education minister over the week to discuss how to strengthen our football partnership amongst the children that are coming up. This was a meeting that was able to help us to also discover the people who are out there. So this goes a way to also talk about other field of games. So this I'm just trying to emphasize on the fact that we shouldn't focus on just football. We shouldn't focus on just football. We should focus on other sports such as the table tennis. We should focus on other fields such as basketball. We should focus on golfing. We should focus on a lot of things because it's not just about football. And then let's encourage our women out there too, because mostly it's just the men who are interested in these kind of games. But then if you're able to get our ladies especially into it, when we are able to inculcate this into the children out there, they are able to, talk about it, they're able to express themselves. We have a lot of talent in this country. This country is more like a sports nation. A lot of people are interested in sports when it comes to this country. So if we are able to get our children at a younger age to be able to pick it up. So I think this meeting was just to educate and then to also introduce the idea of getting younger people into sports. That was the basics of this meeting. And then, in schools, in our education system, we have physical education, PE, but most of the time, PE is just track events. It's just because of, combining academics with sports. Sometimes it's difficult because, the time for studying and all that. But I think it's a good initiative. Schools can just choose a day off from the academic.
Even aside the day they can choose, we have students who are on scholarships in other countries, especially the West, where they are here to play.
You know, out there in the Western world, they have measures in place, very good measures in place. These students who have been granted scholarships to go and study out there just because of based on their sports merits are able to combine academics and then sports, and they're able to do well. Why? Because they've put very good measures in place. It's not just academics. They didn't go out there just because of academics. They have time to study, but they have also made time to do the sports that brought them there. What's got them into that scholarship? If it's track events, they have days dedicated for track training, track championship. They are dedicated to what they do. Unlike our country here, yes, we have students who are in these tertiaries who are also who are in it based on their sports scholarship on sports and all that. My little sister plays basketball, and then she is into these sports a lot. In school, KNUST, this is what she's doing. You get it. But when you are talking to her and you ask her, how do you combine academics and the games? She tells you it's difficult. Why? Because we don't have measures in place to streamline what you are doing with your academics. So she has to blend it. She has to draw her timetable herself and know how to combine these two things. Because she has to do very well in sports. And she has to do very well in academics as well. You get it? But in the Western world, even though one is not overlooking the other, there are very good measures in place. So this meeting it was a good step in the way by the GFA president and of course our education minister, because it's going to give them the time, the space to think about how to blend and make things possible for our younger people out there. And let's move on to our last story. That is Maresca getting a one-match touchline ban. So Enzo Maresca is the head coach for Chelsea Football Club, and then he's been given a one-match touchline ban and then a fine of £8,000 for crossing the touchline. And this was because of their game against Liverpool over that was last 2 weeks when they played with Liverpool, and then they scored a goal in the final minutes, which out of excitement. So I mean, this wasn't just out of malice. It was just out of excitement. The gentleman was so excited he had to run out of his box and go and celebrate with his boys. And this is the second time he's receiving such a ban. This is the first time the same thing, out of excitement. He went to celebrate with the boys and then he got a ban, and then this time again too, he went to celebrate with the boys. So he's out of the game against Nottingham Forest. Yes, he'll be around. He'll be joining them at the dressing room, but on the field of play where he has to be in his coaching role to be speaking to his boys, he won't be around. But then he can still communicate to the boys through mobile phones. Through his assistant coach who will be communicating to the boys and all that. So this is it for the sports update segment. Let me use this opportunity to thank my sponsor for today, My Fit. That is the Days Classics. She reminded me of this month being Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and she was like, take this pink shirt and wear it to work for your morning show.
Real men wear pink.
Yes, so
real men wear pink.
They are running a promo, a massive discount, 20 to 30% from now to the 25th of October. So pass by the Days Classics. They can be located around the Gethsemane Cemetery on the Shiashi Road. Just go to them and then mention my name, Benedict. They'll give you a very good discount. Yes.
Right. Thank you so much for the information, and also that brings us to the end of the sports segment. Up next is the business segment, and based on what Benedict said, I think yes, based on what Benedict said, the lifestyle segment also is next after the business segment, and the clothing for the lifestyle segment was sponsored by Dancom Designs in Spintex, where we had the conversation. So yes, please keep that in mind, and if you want to reach out to her too, when we get to the segment, you will get all the information and then get something beautiful to wear to. Next is the business segment.
Hello, good morning, and many thanks for joining me on the Business Update segment on the Koko Digest Morning Show. My name is Peter Ntia, and now to our stories. The Ghana cedi has strengthened over the past weeks, boosted by the Bank of Ghana's decisive foreign exchange interventions. The local currency's rebound has improved market liquidity and investor confidence. Data Bank research attributes the cedi's gains to higher inflows from commodity exports, record gold prices above $4,000 per ounce, and the central bank's decision to double its FX auction frequency.
On the interbank market, the dollar traded at 12 cedis 17 pesos, down from 12 cedis 40 pesos. The euro and pound also dropped to 16 cedis 25 pesos and 14 cedis 14 pesos. In the retail market, the cedi appreciated 3.45% against the dollar, 5.25% against the pound, and 4.67% against the euro, closing at 13 cedis 5 pesos, 17 cedis 15 pesos, and 15 cedis respectively. Analysts say the gains reflect strong inflows and renewed confidence after Ghana's successful IMF fifth review. The Bank of Ghana is expected to sustain support in October with a planned $1.50 billion injection into the market. Meanwhile, the World Bank African Pulse report ranks the cedi as Africa's best performing currency this year, appreciating by over 20% since January, a feat credited to fiscal discipline and sound monetary policy. Experts, however, caution that sustaining these gains will depend on continued fiscal prudence and deeper economic reforms.
Away from that story, the Bank of Ghana is stepping up action against the growing trend of dark checks in the financial system. The central bank has introduced a tougher sanctions regime to restore public confidence and discipline in check transactions. Under the new directive, customers who issue dark checks for the first time will pay a penalty of 10% of the check's face value and be placed under monitoring for 1 year.
Second and third time offenders will face stiffer fines of 15% and 20% respectively, along with tougher restrictions including a 3-year ban from issuing checks and 1-year suspension from accessing new credit facilities and blacklisting by credit reference bureaus as high-risk issuers. The new sanctions, which replace the 2021 directive, took effect on Tuesday, October 14, 2025. In a statement, the central bank expressed concern over the increasing number of due checks, warning that the trend undermines trust and credibility in the country's payment system. It says the revised measures are meant to discourage the more practice and ensure stricter compliance across the banking sector. The Bank of Ghana has also directed all banks and specialized deposit-taking institutions to submit monthly reports on due check incidents and to display the new sanctions in their banking halls and on their websites.
Still on this story, the central bank says the move is part of broader efforts to strengthen financial discipline and rebuild public confidence in Ghana's payment system. Away from this story, a high-level meeting in Washington spotlighted Ghana's gold board model for natural resource governance with finance ministers from Ghana, Liberia, Sierra Leone, the Gambia, and Sudan, praising it as benchmark for resource-led development in Africa.
This event coincided with the 2025 IMF World Bank annual meetings, where strategic discussions included the president of the African Development Bank, Dr. Sidi Outa. The Gold Board initiative was recognized for its success in optimizing Ghana's gold resources to bolster economic growth and promote sustainable development. This signifies a shift from traditional method, attracting interest from other countries in enhancing transparency and resource governance. Gold Board, under the Ministry of Finance, is responsible for regulating the gold and precious minerals sector in Ghana.
And now let's take a look at the daily exchange rate. And this is all we have for you on the Business Update segment on the Koko Digest Morning Show. Thank you for staying with us. My name is Peter Insia. Up next is the Lifestyle segment. Please stay with us.
Picking up these skills to help us curb the issue of unemployment in the youth. And today I'm here at Dancom Designs in Spintex Endpoint area, and my guest is Madame Comfort Che. She is the CEO of Dancom Designs. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, madam.
Thank you so much for joining us or giving us, this space to join you here in your own work environment to talk to you.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you so much once again. So, for the Koko Digest Morning Show, we are talking about the practical skills training and those things, and learning a trade that you can use your hands, finding work to do with your hands. And you are the CEO of Dancom Designs. And what is the main thing that you would say about learning practical skills that maybe would encourage somebody watching us today?
Oh, thank you. The main point A, what I'll give you is good to learn. It reduces unemployment and help the society to become independent.
Okay.
So they not become vulnerable for the society.
Right. Okay. So it helps it breaks the unemployment situation in our society. Right. So how did you start?
I started like 16 years ago.
Oh, okay. Now, Osha as no. Nyama ben now, like nyama, like how do they even say it? Nyama ben now to two ya what the baba.
Okay. Miss Field Manu Kumasi.
Okay.
And I'm the fashion school Accra. na me ni me sister neti ti edum me sister to kwan and I come
Okay.
in fact na eduma na me sua na anka me ni baby am na
Oh.
nyam ko pa adum eduma na me sua na boa me bebre ti me ni daily wear eduma kakra me ni jifa esu eduma kakra
Okay.
me ni so many great designers eduma kakra nti mama nya more confident and more skills.
Okay. Into 16 years now, no. A coincidence ben ya uta share or business name.
Oh. Especially customers. They say who said oni mi pa be kasa. Obi o ma oba okuta ni problem no deba. Nti say oba na wan fa botire nhia na and then na say oba lose customers. If you know because ni both ni nti oba no woni abotre nti umomo no say oba kan me down.
Okay.
Na wotimi no obefo na nakoma yede atonim na obi wo so wonim de wope nti obehwe ni figure no aka say we oya ebe fata ana we obi wo ma obefa bibia ba wo na opam na say wo chene say wodi we ya ebe ye ana enye yi na waboa no.
Okay. Na fitting collaborate na when himself person we fashion designer.
Oh. Minim pa. Say me work classics na mitimpa me uniform she.
Okay.
Papa ye Tera.
Okay.
No pam soldiers ni nurses ni tadi ni doctors. Nti e wo mimu. Bitime de mensa pam atade.
Full dress.
Yes.
Okay.
Nti mi wo JSS ni pam uniform. Eshe. Nti mi do ko SS ni. Wie na me say hu hia say make timako ba mi hu ni say ade pam ni o mimu. Nti ade na me nto so na me sua mo na me be more designer.
Okay. So that being said, this beautiful gown you are seeing on me is by Dancom Designs, our very own, and I mean you can tell how lovely I'm looking this morning. Yes, Intino say obi person joining this industry, then necessary and then necessary ocean so say who industry we more we anyway now obi share.
Oh, ade pam ne say uni a pen say obesua adwuma na member mostly obi ba me kan say woni gi okondo opesa obesua because obi wo hono ma enini mu osua onye de ohun.
Okay.
Obe yes na afi de obe ene obeba ade chia omba ba de ewoni mu ni de okasa o me yenda ha ma ade nche kro be de obeda obesua because openi gi mu obi also a wonim ba say de oba obe uneni be kasa obenya abotrama no ebe pese obe ne kombedo so obesua adwuma no ye ene say de onya abotre no be kasa obe kire mo adwuma no ebe bo mo hu.
Okay. Inti ojiri say ade pam ya de ehia wo ye mremu enemu
ade pam hia pa e bo papa one ma omo nyi adwuma no esote e unemployment ama ye mbenya more employment ana two ama ye Ghana ye culture daddy say GTP 80 yentuma ye pempam no kentemu ni ade etim pam di show ama western world ihu die Ghana ni Africa ye de ye wo and e boa creativity.
Okay. Nti obi timi pam atade bina akata ha nyina ni nyina creativity no. Okay. Nti no say which me who say students ne workers ni bi nti nyama be na obeka say fashion industry we actually also we are impacting that knowledge into your students and your workers.
And never be branch me say starting no make I say me starting na me need machine bia hand machine pen na me wo.
Okay.
Me the 4 months na me to industrial machine me ye adwuma na me see sika kaka because na me won the pesa da achi me adwuma na enye kesi ntu mpon nti omba me kire mo say adwuma na wo ye ne ye said da achi de beba obra nti said you obetime sie sika said you obetime ye adwuma na ye ne ye said oni fa be kasa obenya confidence say adwuma no wo ye na obetime so ayede aye na sie sika ma adwuma na wo da achi nti wunya kakra se bi na fa bi yede eto kono.
Okay.
And they said you betime aye adwuma ni
nti o kan bibi for customers nti na said ya esese woni omo kasa abotrenade nti does that mean say adwuma we atro or said you obenya abotra manipa
and de hu hia pa se wonya abotra manipa.
Okay.
Said oni pa be kasa ni hu hia pa
na wo students nso so no say obi wo ho to say onim se we school opeso osua ejuma bi opeso opebibi de ninsaye nanso onhyeda ni ma de kra opeso ye no eno sa no oba wo nchen a efutu obe na obema no
oh me chere ni say first me so na hwe say obetimi asua ejuma na na ma chere ni say oh obetimi asua nti bra na besua ejuma no obi wo so ahwe a umu say ontimi ensua nti eno mfo so na ana 2 nipa bebre obia ne sedie osua ade echi ade ntamusie de efa
okay
nti obehwe ni na kwan we mu nyina so na ade abo nipa no
okay na wo students ne bi no say eba ne say maybe ono opeso ye enso on chedam pikin temtema say na ya wo tai encourage na say o shenin crying say oh dachi ube hu so
abu ha me de obi aba na wonim de etunifo eye mfato ma no ene ne ma ya pempam a obi na oba wonim hwe obi okwa wanko school da so oba nkakra etimi kire ne ma ne yehu nti na wa akopia wakọ SS ewie na chese enida so bebrede ohoma tete na yesi ye na yanko school na yesu ade pam ba nti sa
okay
yesi ade pam ewiase na sesa ma ade pam ko ne mu kra fa bebre ko university ko ye fashion design ni ade ti ana more of us omu ko crampa at the end omu sa ba ye ni madam for ya ye wo vocational skills ni sem sa besua practical ni mo e de bo mo ntia de na wa ba straight no wontimi nyen se obetimi hu yi entem besua ni
okay
so ba ye tin true
nti se me ba ha na me besua fashion ni fashion design adepam ni bibia nema ben na o sha metimi aye me free ha ejuma ben na metimi akoye
oh so ba ye kire ma wo nema bebre ti say cabani slate straight dress wedding gown me man tade ne top and down native ni ade nti obi wo mo timi sua ni na obi wo so say madam mpese mi sua e bia straight dress skirt and top ene bia kaba me man ne man mi ntimi ye de nsua nti me specialize no e wo side na ma man hu say wo wi a me nkotene fi sete bukra fesi kwanchen nepa udem na ye eduma anase kwaye we campaign for some time na nyame usiesi sika na wetimi di ebie wo show
okay
nti ye show mun kuna wasa kwan ne so
okay nti asiane se eya mo specialize wo nema nti yembra so does it mean say also specialty and now the bibia
okay me specially like sorry emma tadie cabani slate
okay
straight dress wedding gown ana mema top and down
okay na o students no what anya mema nzo
ebiaba be 6 years ago be eno echi na fe de manko ana eba
okay inti say o pese maybe said the at the palm name makeup nyama sa nyama beauty and fashion no eya na obi adwin say e ma de no then na obe kan fa ho say o mema nso betimi aba
at the palm no any training sa nyama beauty enye emba nkodwuma mema so timi sua because mema work and pay a ombe yedwuma emma me wo ha say ebom bebre be ma ba obepama de wi a de no betuma gini sika ayede akọ obi wo so kasa week te me man important omutumi nyesika kwache emba no
okay
ebi ye building making ni nema de ye de eka enti me tu me man fo se omfa mu hye ade pam sana dwuma mu mo
okay
be bo nyamba nkwa na yese nsua designing.
Okay. Inti, so you've been in this business for 16 years. Who students need be mono stories been now maybe omo koy omo be catch us say hey sisi ade my you e bi mo wo sa
oh nyankopon adum bi mo bia omo shops bi mo tutu kwan
okay
buy we say ono one shop and then also be try
okay and now already bakubi ya
bakubi
okay right
aboa bebre ebi muso kire enkofo dwum ebi muso training enkofo afoforo apprentice for.
Okay. Into your business, no share, say no. A dreamer band, so now we decided to say, oh, see, I didn't person me man for training. Kakana, me boy, your friends say, me bunu say,
oh. I think say we started within 1 year.
Okay.
Now me started say me fa nkofo na training them.
Okay.
Because me pese de o me muni me be kirema afoforo so enya so mfa so.
Okay. Now we training program no we are saying say me say me besia how many years na me sia ansa na me so obe ma me kwan say also kona ko bi shop.
Oh. 3 years.
3 years.
Now obi o hono ma o say madam me 3 years. Beat me be a 6 months, me a short course 6 months. Banka papa mo anka 3 years. Na what me dey sua bibia. Obi o ba o say o pese me sua e bia dress is pay. Be a 6 months. Pese me fen sua be a skirt dresses e bia tops. Be a 3 months. Pese me fen sua bibi. Ya no so e bit my short courses ahead.
Okay. Intiano, how do you balance say maybe my bro wedding gown say pam mame also students I say was sign training
students no anapa ye board nesi ano ye ba ye sua ade ye wi a emo assignment na mo practicals na mo ye na me work so a eno si ye aside work a yes ye count nti student usua ndu baby ti say 1 year ni bi na hu say obetima pam bia itimi ma obi na so ye de opam. Okay. And I still I your practical aside so ye de count.
Okay. Na your friend ebano training so a free and I say maybe me person me battery na as say me tia BB registration fee na
training no enye free sir at least ye BB kakra say dey be mo ni abre say ade na be sua no utu esika nti obeye serious mo obi o ma form ache mo djuma manje mu hwe
okay
ni na ni nipa na obi o ma hwe no say oh ade mi nya mesua eso boafo ye de eni ho sa ni pa no betima ye na doye aye ne mboa no akire na
okay
ani akatua wo nyame ho
okay wow right inti say obia maybe wabe training no wako eno say me ko no me nya hwe anye then important na obetimi aka akire na obenya some sort of hope say ebe
I get yeah a challenge back on and say a problem back on be more home kwa say madam ye nya customers madam adwuma na mintimi nye eya na hu ewo
okay
nti oba wo na be kasa na ma sa hu na ye de e free ni mu o mitimi ka say oh wo de wo start ni bibia e ha wa fabra me chechero because adwuma na nsu ye de enwi nti oba o chene ba community mensa na fe de wona kasa o jiji kate bedu bebla fe de na sa hu na yede efri ni mu o mba madam obi o se fe de metimi ayede aye na wo so abo na wetimi gina
okay inti me so say my bro wa fi omo time omo sia sa so in school and no say I say arithmetic mathematics ni nyama o ampa
pa
okay inti pa cho betimi church one my say we na maybe we say so your calculation say ni
say my papa say we jina ho say you see your body's blog no over taking pa kone bust waist hip now bane length shoulder to waist shoulder to bust shoulder to hip breast length now about across back which is shoulder to shoulder
okay
and over funny in area then you come to divide it
divide it by what
over for bust if you find so bust be 45 here you divide it by 4
I didn't teach mu
into mass calculation be blue into dividing by 4 say ya tade enim high half side yechi aye half side
okay
into yechi before so be twa na obefa fabric ni a emu obi say into you fancy high menim ana high mechi into fancy say ya untimi fancy say na wontwa ti so ka bom say na aye 2 into 2 year front na other 2 year back. Until I chem 4. By a shoulder, the chem 2 pay.
Okay.
The shoulder to shoulder, number 4, you say. 2 be ma, na ato a shoulder no.
Intino. Does it mean say me battery in be a calculator beba?
Dabi. You be a mass board. Okay. So be chem. Obi wa anko school to be use tape measure.
Tiafa na obe training pa no 1 to 3.
Be a 4 no. Be 40. Now we divide it. What can we divide it by 4? The be ma 10. 2 years is a be ma na tie. Then you add maybe 2 inches or 1 inch allowance after you divide it by 4. No divide what the back home. Okay. She said, what the 2 inches neck out 10 one over 12 inches. 12. Okay. And then mostly we see a bigger pack in the parts in the dish taking a measurement. Say be our hip next one. Let's say be our straight dress. Body's blogger, or baby so hip now the best start here. I take it.
Okay.
Now at the end, you know, all the bust inside anyways not the count. Until TV if not the
Inti who train you on exams ne to say what is a needle now a needle is the thing they used to sew enu bi wo ho e bi a say your body's blogger and I say your draft bibia e be chom say atade no odi ha kan wa e be say uti afinti o ya na o jote okay it all say dey be ya o wi obe ko back akwakosuan dey ya kire won inti sisi me hu nyama bi anka me nyaya anka ye be hwe ni yesuan me hu book bi ase stitching e bi wo ma me nyaya anka ye be hwe say dey tie na wa train notebook pacho specimen album okay nti we say no aba for no we classification of fabrics okay the type of fabrics say the fabric bi aite bi enye findrim bi fe printing bi synthetic okay nti plant die no cottons ana animal dey no silk okay ana synthetic ne plastic ne sa nylon ne we mu no nti ese wo hu ni nyina de bia ye de ewia ne aba stitches nti eminent stitches okay nti be for tacking be for designing you do design it be for decoration nti ni na stitches ne doso I think I think they used to teach us in primary school life skills. Yes, vocational and life skills. Until when you know, we say new one be our back. Until on any day, we are na mama ne di pini. So who be away there? Oh yeah, edu. Until one away to book ni mama. We obi aba oye. Until obi di away na obi so so. Okay. Sanity, machine practice and those things. Before so best start upon no, practice on hand with the machine. Okay, so we different types decoration stitches. Stitches, okay. So we the hemi Anna. We satin. Okay. Now we blanket stitches. And I mean say we machine oh. We machine. Okay. Inti we buy practice we nyina sa na waba. Okay. We na ya ka say bia pamatade na fa chain stitches designer unim stitches okay ya ka say hemi unim hemi yo ade a hemi piping unim piping French seam be huni na nti we ka we nyina bom se na de abepam atade nti wo ye we na emadwuma ne asuane ye easy ma ma otene ma sentem I see and now we basic necklines okay so they wait ma control inside apam ade no be careful and a bias ye piping so they be cutting crossway bias okay hey wow there's a lot to learn here wow hey and you mesremo in your anum ne adofono if you want to learn fashion design and you don't have anywhere to go, I'm recommending Dancom Designs here in Spintex Endpoint. We will leave the number on our on our screens for you to also get in touch with her, and then or you can reach out to Clock TV and then just ask, and we'll also send you the number. In Siciliano, ya share stitches na kakra. Intade bi wo chi a nka menya ya nka ye betimi aka ehho asem ni ahwe. White we no. Yes. Inti what sorry. So what went into Anna atade we fabric near friendly?
We bridal satin.
Bridal satin. Okay.
Students back on a year we see.
Into we say no, your friend a bridal satin doesn't mean say only brides never share.
No. Okay. You can wear it church party. Yes.
Okay. Into BB say no, Pama, what goes into sewing something like this?
Oh, you can get your 3 years or 4 years. You use 4 years of fabric of this. So.
Okay. Into I said corset side view.
Corset. We not much corset.
But just the frame. Okay.
To stiff it. Not the frame.
Okay. Me who? So where is your kente, Anna?
Where you kente? Where
it looks like kente even know.
Metallic bouquet.
Metallic brocade. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Now and also then I come.
Where for like party.
Yes. Design and so yeah for I see. Aha, we na kente, right?
We na kente.
Okay. Inti also pam kente ne wedding gowns near there. Inti we say no. Obi ba onche no say opeso pama. Do you inform the person say oh style way will not fit and style way will fit?
Yes.
Okay.
We nyapa. Isa we ntimi treno. Obi wa also. Obi wa usa. Obi wa shape. Go on shape into better nipa koni body side. Okay. Now the abuano.
Okay. And the young back to baby I start a show. Inti sisi ade ya hwehwe nniemam ena ye mu bi so ye ko ejuma churchro ni ade taati ye ntade ni ade inti se churchro ati matade ya then na me wo me needle and thread then na metimi aya fa ho
mpacho
needle
enti ebe boa se nka at least obi a wona ma obenya especially ye na ye mba ye ko market ye ko office ni ma no the biao pe ne de thread bi shell bag and I say even pin brooch scarf nti e basa eno ne se wa for ne de no ko shell corner bi then we running stitches
running stitches no any day him pacha camera embe o ni nsia prekuna. After today all of us must know how to do running stitches nti eno no What the best shame?
Uko onim.
Okay.
No aba wuchi.
Okay.
Uko onim. No aba wuchi. Oye nesa.
Okay.
Pamoni nketwa fine. What me so use some back stitches.
Okay.
And it to me here. And
na watching. Okay. Inti ano within 5 minutes there ma patch mata there.
Crown na okon.
Oh, okay.
Say na say onye we ya got ma around one more.
Okay. I see. And so we can see, I'm sure we can see the running stitches. Okay, what the area obi abehu. Said the Oh, so it's that easy. And especially the boys. Kakra no mudinta de na brain say pachimami.
Omo de kwa de hemis.
Okay.
Omo straw ni ade no. And on say obe hemin. Na fe na obe ka say madam pacha won hemi mata de ne mami. Who was it go to twa ade no ankasa wo bus no hemi.
Oh, okay.
Now you are good to go. Inti ya.
Oh. Okay. So this is what the front would look like, and then this is what the back is likely to look like. Something temporary, something to just patch your torn dress. Me nyanka your button nanka se o button be to shirt. Me yebenya button be ana baby dan kwan wa. Okay. Intinka you share how to put a button on your back on your shirt. Now we wrap up quickly. Inti, so as we are waiting for the button, no. So obi will feel no see me de minya hwe nye me de sanema we me ni nje ho ne ade nsusu sika ho hia e kom wom then na obeka che nipa we se de be ya no nso obenya motivation so nsia bibi no fa ne sanya.
Uti fie na wonya hwe no.
Thank you.
Obe boss e obe bibi na odo nsa ye. Obetima bai e be kire. So person won sua ne 3 months e betima kire ma wo.
Okay.
6 months e betima kire. Bubu kra betima apam kids wear with my pum. At least with my tonton if you travel.
Okay.
I'm also so on your bed no ukuno ana say busia ana say papa na mama ho. Okay. With my abusho ho ahwe obi su krampa obem. Na ma asetana na yemre. Okay, but in you. So my last question and say me person me start fashion business then ne fundamentals me like me initially cry said nyama we dey say me will be okay at the end of the day unya o scissors tape hand machine so it's cause bit more for the industrial machines bit me ato okay unya pins no petty things
to say thread ne okay magnet me who magnet wa ha screwdriver ne ade scissors screwdriver no me dey repairs na opane needle ni bua okay nti na we be na we okay nti unya nti nema ye gidigidi unya sa nema kakra na wetin dey start even your bedroom cry you can even start with something okay nti sisi yen hwe said your palm button no so betimi are taking in through the process nti what the button the basis with the siswa by the can take it down inside okay it's not for the ubeko o de ahoma no okay back front into I don't know how many times. Oh, by 5-6 times. 5-6 times. We are now attacking our back. Okay, now what's actually okay. So excuse me. It's very easy to sew a button, patch your dress. You just need to watch and learn. And we've learned how to patch our dress. We've also learned how to put on a button when it tears. So yes. Please, as she said, as a lady, as a gentleman, you should have your essentials, a small needle and thread to keep with you. So now we have our button here and it's looking very nice, very neat work done here. So it's very easy to learn this. And I mean, it saves you time because would you be running to a tailor or a seamstress every 5 minutes when you get a rip in your dress or you lose a button? No, this is one of the ways to even help yourself. And then with time, if you get the interest to improve upon it, you can also just find somebody that can also train you. Inti sisi ya and then I say time ne continue. What will be your last words of encouragement to viewers say get into technical and vocational skills training? Oh, man, encourage you say. To see a day we are say continental sequa. Until be a fan and share education vocational skills. There ubenye bia sia. Say ya de pamu, say ya din you. Mentine fie kwa. Usua so beba so fa so ama o man no ene ebusua. Ene wankasa, omba ene fearful. And you bet me so man ni panya confidence obi shat ade na ne ho ye fa ona obi jan ho ne ni to be ne de so pam ade man ni agi because ye ni one man since ni for better deja ampa no great enwu hia obi ye wed na obi ye din ya you ye utina wan shat ade papa nya fe ampa nti ade pam ho hia pa nti next to obi afo so mfa ne wo hye Adipam. Okay. Yeah, that's very anytime our man yaba will shop any business I ever interrupt you with I'm sure we'll say that once upon. So yes. Today, at least, if you've not picked up anything, you've picked up the motivation to get into fashion. And look at how beautiful I'm looking today. I mean, I look beautiful always, but this is from Dancom Designs. This should tell you that if you have the interest, just, take the step and venture into the business, venture into the industry. You don't know if you'll be the next big thing. And even if you're not the next big thing, you are also going to be equipped with very good skills to help yourself, to help the people around you. Now, this brings us to the end of the lifestyle segment. I'm so grateful for this opportunity to learn. And I know you've also learned a lot today. And I will see you bright and early next Tuesday